Proceeds support education and outreach on how important, easy, and fun sustainable practices can be. Wine in the Garden is on Saturday evening, October 26th, starting at 5. For more details, go to our website, gusustainable.org, or call 687-6491.
The Border Patrol chief reports what he calls staggering numbers at the southern border.
Acting CBP Commissioner Mark Morgan says enforcement actions totaled 1 million at the southwest border this past fiscal year, and the arrival of families more than tripled over any previous year on record.
These numbers are numbers that no immigration system in the world is designed to handle, including ours.
He says their personnel had to divert their attention away from looking for criminals to focus on the high number of families.
Make no mistake, our country was less safe because of it.
But he says the numbers have gone down over the summer, and he credits President Trump's collaboration with Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala, but especially Mexico, which is now allowing asylum seekers to wait out their cases there. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
In New Jersey, the verdict is in the attempted murder trial of a man already convicted for setting bombs in New York City.
The jury found Ahmad Khan Rahimi guilty of trying to kill police officers in Linden, New Jersey, after he was discovered sleeping in a doorway during a manhunt. Rahimi fired at the officers, hoping to get away, but was shot and apprehended. His lawyer claimed he acted in self-defense. Rahimi was convicted last year for setting 2 bombs in New York, one of which exploded in the Chelsea area, injuring 30 people. He's serving a life sentence for that crime. He also set off an explosive at a Marine Corps race in Seaside Park, New Jersey, the same day as the Chelsea blast. The jury deliberated for 2 days, finding Rahimi guilty on 30 counts.
Fox's Gernal Scott, recapping the Wall Street slide, blamed mainly on renewed concern about the trade dispute with China. The Dow drops 314 points. The S&P and the NASDAQ also down over 1% on the day. Trade talks resuming this week in Washington. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo, 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro brings you island hospitality with a true taste of modern Chamorro cuisine. A bistro look that feels like home. Their menu features local and traditional flavors with a twist. From their famous Kelaguen Hafa to fresh ahi poke salad and their award-winning barbecue ribs. Mezcla takes your favorite local dishes and serves them with extra flair that you'll only find at Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Stop by their newest location in the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. For reservations, call 969-2652. Mezcla, a true taste of Guam. Live the balanced lifestyle. Take Care Insurance offers proven wellness and fitness programs to encourage individuals and families to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle through preventative care, being active, eating right, relaxing and unwinding, and being socially connected. They have the island's largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs for all ages. Join the movement. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram or visit takecareasia.com to learn more.
It's 6:06 on this beautiful Wednesday morning. Half a day and good morning. Here's some of today's top stories from the Guam Daily Post. How exactly he fell is unclear, but a 15-year-old boy survived a 100-foot fall from the Jonestown Cliff in Tamuning yesterday. Just around noon, the teen fell into the rough sea below. The fall resulted in serious injuries, and he was taken to GMH after being plucked from the waters by rescuers. Guam Fire Department spokesman Kevin Riley told the Guam Daily Post GFD got the call about the teen who'd fallen and had been seriously injured. Rescue 2 was able to retrieve the victim, who was conscious and responsive at the time. They brought him to the Hagutnya Marina by boat, where he was also transported to GMH. GFD is reminding people to avoid hazardous areas and exercise caution at all times, especially in unfavorable weather. The condition of a man electrocuted while picking breadfruit is unknown this morning. The Guam Police Department said the man was rushed to Naval Hospital after coming into contact with a live power line. GPD spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau said the incident occurred around 6 last night in Mongmong. Guam Fire Department medics were also on the scene. The man had been picking the lemai and was knocked unconscious. Family members were able to pull him off of the power line and called 911. Medics transported him to Naval Hospital and were administering CPR while en route. Former Guam police officer Mark Torrey Jr. has pleaded not guilty to new charges in the Superior Court. Represented by attorney Jay Areola, the two appeared in court on the charges he now faces in connection with a 2015 shooting death of fellow Guam police officer Sergeant Bert Piolo. Piolo's family watched the proceedings from inside the courtroom. Judge Michael Bordalio earlier this month granted the prosecution's request to change the charges in the indictment to negligent homicide as a third-degree felony and aggravated assault as a third-degree felony. Both charges include a special allegation of possession or use of a deadly weapon in the commission of a felony. Torrey wants the amended indictment dismissed. Torrey has also asserted his right to a speedy trial. He's scheduled to appear back in court on October 31st. More news after this.
We understand what matters to you because at Docomo Pacific, we're a family too. With the Now Family program, mom, dad, and kids stay connected on the latest devices the whole family can enjoy. For just $155 a month, get 3 lines with 30 gigs of 4G LTE data each, and endless use of your favorite apps without affecting your monthly data bucket. Add more, get more, save more. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
Half a day. Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. I'm Jade Uggan of Umatic, and this is where I start my day. Listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi itanonmo. Protect your land. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
A couple of teens are in custody after being picked up in connection with a car theft in Jotnya on Monday morning. The duo allegedly stole the vehicle from a home and led police on a high-speed chase. According to police spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau, preliminary police reports say following an all-points bulletin, patrol officers spotted the vehicle in Inarahan and attempted to conduct a traffic stop. It led to a high-speed chase all the way through Barragata and ended in Harmon. The operator also collided with another vehicle on Vietnam Veterans Highway, which is Route 10 in Barragata. A 15-year-old boy was arrested on suspicion of theft of a motor vehicle, eluding police officers, and guilt established by complicity. A 16-year-old boy was also taken into custody on suspicion of theft by receiving reckless driving, eluding police officers, resisting arrest, driving without a driver's license, and leaving the scene of a crash. Both minors are now being held at DYA. And Cortec International has won the $27 million contract to build a third trash cell at the Ledson landfill. The award of the contract was one of the last remaining responsibilities of the federal receiver, Gershman, Brickner, and Bratton, over a GovGuam solid waste management contract. Guam Solid Waste Authority General Manager Larry Gast says they hope to have the project completed as quickly as possible. They're shooting for August 2021 to have them already receiving trash. That's when the first and second trash cells are expected to be filled up. The funds to build the third cell came from the proceeds of a $30 million bond that GovGuam borrowed last July. The Guam Solid Waste Authority is committed to making the debt repayment from the tipping fees, but they also state that there will be no increase of those fees. And that's a look at some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. For more, you can log on to their website at postguam.com or pick up a copy. Here now is your weather with Ray and Mike.
Mostly cloudy today, Mana, and windy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. If you're outside at all this morning, you probably felt all of that. Expect that to continue through the early afternoon. Isolated showers tonight. South winds 20 to 30 miles an hour, decreasing 15 to 20 miles an hour tonight. Highs near 87 degrees, and overnight lows should be about 78 degrees. I got sunset at 6:05 this evening. Sunrise this morning was at 6:10, but there really wasn't that much to the sunset. I went outside and took a picture, and I might actually have this thing up on the Facebook Live. I might be able to get this up on Facebook and YouTube so that you can see it. Oh no, that's not the sunrise. That's something else. That's the alien version of a can of Bud Light.
Yeah, alien rise.
Where'd that come from? How'd that get in there? What the heck? All right, so I got a couple of things going on here. This one is the way it looked at the front office in the middle of Mona's newscast just a second ago, and it looks like we've got a whole bunch of clouds out there preventing the sun from being able to make an early morning appearance today. Why?
Yeah, well, we get the last of the rain bands from Super Typhoon Hagibis moving on through, and we'll really be able to see that on radar and satellite when we pop that up. Going to be kind of an all-day thing, at least up until the afternoon. Then things should start getting better by this evening, and I think that we'll start to see things start to clear out really nicely at that point.
So maybe a little bit of sunset hunting tonight?
I think so tonight. Yeah, tonight will certainly be much better than yesterday. Yesterday, just the storm was too close, too many clouds, and so it just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, but it was nice. I didn't turn the air conditioner on at all yesterday. It was just gorgeous. Now, somebody put in an order for the radar. There is the radar right now, recent image here, and we can see that there's still a whole lot of action going on in our neighborhood.
Yeah, the storm's slowly pulling away to the west-northwest, almost northwest now, and so it'll be pulling this rain band through with it as it gets on its motion through the day today. But until that time, at least especially through the morning hours, we're looking at some pretty good winds. The wind is blowing at a pretty good clip out there, and then we have these really heavy rain showers firing up, even some thunder and lightning I saw on the way into work this morning. So this is the kind of thing we'll be looking at, and as you can see, the axis, as it were, of this rain band still actually to our southeast. So it's got to come on through here through the morning hours, and it will. And as it does, once it pulls on away, we're looking at things to start to improve, say, after lunchtime sometime.
Let's take a look at the satellite. Yeah. And I tell you what, when I first popped this image up on the screen, it took my breath away for a second, because, my gosh, what a monster. Look at that eye.
Yeah, that thing has really turned into quite a monster, almost getting with the first couple of frames there, almost had what's known as the annular presentation that I talked about yesterday, where it looks like just a disk of clouds out there. Yesterday, the storm underwent an eye wall replacement cycle, which is very typical for storms when they reach that kind of strength, and it has completed that eye wall replacement cycle, but that's why the eye is so much bigger. It'll probably shrink back down again today to something a little bit smaller, but probably will be bigger than what it was when it passed through here the other day. That pinhole eye, when it passed through the Marianas just yesterday, wow, that's a sign of serious intensity, because the eye just can't get much smaller than that and still be an eye. Now look at the Guam pointer there. You see this line of clouds off to our southeast, maybe a little bit more down to the southeast, but I'm thinking as the storm continues to pull away, the influence for the support of that outermost band is probably going to go away as well. And then we'll have the sun come up and kind of stabilize the atmosphere just a little bit later. So I think this one last rain band will be the last one we see, and then things will again slowly start to improve as we go through the evening. Tomorrow should be back to normal.
6:15, that's News and Weather Together, brought to you by Bank Pacific, banking on the Pacific for 65 years.
Ready for some football? The Ray Gibson Show has got your NFL fix every Friday on Sports with Blake. Get the latest updates as Blake and Mike break down the upcoming action. Get your game on with the boys on the hotline, 888-TALK, or sound off on Facebook Live at thepoint.gu. League members get a chance to win some awesome prizes that get you through the NFL season. The NFL Picks on The Ray Gibson Show is brought to you by Current Guam, with special thanks to GTA.
6:16 portions of the Ray Gibson Show being brought to you by the team over at Wendy's, and they are already hard at work for you to get your breakfast squared away. The best breakfast value on Guam, 5 local breakfast platters. There's eggs and rice and breakfast meat for like $4. Favorites like your Applewood smoked bacon. Yes, yeah, we got that kind of breakfast meat there. Portuguese sausage.
Aren't pigs great?
Country fried chicken with gravy. You know,
pretend he's smothered in gravy. It's fine.
So this is why they advertise here. This is the kind of added value you get advertising on this show that you don't get anywhere else. Find it at Wendy's Breakfast Platter. $4, the real deal at breakfast is Wendy's. Now that's better. It's also being brought to you, the show is, by American President Lines, global presence with a local home.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Okay, I think I'm ready to get started here. What do you say? Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. It is the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. My name is Ray, and I'm absolutely thrilled and delighted to be here with you on whatever day this happens to be. It's we're not entirely sure. We're all of us kind of creatures of comfort around here, and creatures of a kind of schedule and habit. And Mana was kind of lost on what day it was today. Because, well, I mean, it's just because.
Well, they didn't pick up my trash, so it just offset my entire.
Right, there was no trash pickup yesterday, and so
calendar.
So are they getting it today? Was the question?
I hope so.
They are. They are going to get it. So they're going to
get. The SWA is going to go back and pick up today.
They're going to go and get the ones that they missed yesterday because today is my trash pickup.
Well, I
day.
mean, I hope so. They just said they're going to get back out there today. Whether they can double up on the routes, I am not sure.
See, so I've got the stinky trash on the curb, ready to go, ready to get picked up here this morning because I remembered that it's Wednesday. Today's the day it's supposed to be. But if they're not able to get it, then does that mean that my trash is going to get picked up on Thursday? And it will be another thing that is jarring as a result of this super typhoon rolling through the neighborhood, jarring the rest of everybody else's schedule.
Well, fortunately, the wind didn't knock over your trash.
No. I don't have
that
that problem.
a whole other problem.
Pigs, however, can be a problem for that kind of thing. Anyway, so it's 6:19 in the morning, and obviously a couple of voices here. Let me make introductions for those of you that have tuned in, haven't missed the last couple of days. That's Michael Knight. You already know him. He takes care of the weather. He's Duke Sky Talker from the Point's Weather Center, just a yard away from where I am here this morning. So we keep track of the satellites. We keep track of the radar here, get an idea of what's going to be happening. And there was a lot of after effect of this storm. Frankly, I'm surprised it's still as windy and rainy as it is today.
I am too. I'm a little surprised. Normally, when the storm gets this far away, of course, it should be noted it has slowed down forward motion, and it's moving northwest now. It's purely northwest. But yeah, usually when they get this far away, by then the influence has waned, and in this case, it just is slow to die away. But after today, we should get back to nice weather.
Yeah, I was going to say, now where's it going next? There were obviously last couple of days, people were very concerned that it was going to be headed straight towards Japan, but on more of a northwest track. Does that put it over Japan? Does it take it?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to impact the Honshu Island, main island of Japan, at some point later on this week, maybe this weekend. We're thinking we had one storm move in real close to Tokyo earlier this year, thinking this one might get kind of close too. But they're ready for him in Japan because they see him all the time.
Yeah, 6:20 in the morning. So that's Michael Knight. He takes care of the phones. You can also reach him at 888-8255. You want to talk to me? Same number, 888-8255 is how you get a hold of Michael Knight. The voice that you heard taking care of the news, that's baby sister Monica Silva Tyrant, and she is the new news voice for the morning show here on 93.3 The Point. Great to have you here. So glad you came back.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think there were some of us that were kind of concerned about that. Is she, after having the first day hanging out with her brother on the radio for a long time and hanging out with Mike and the team, we're like, well, that was fun. Do you think she'll come back?
Well, you know where I live, so that's.
I don't want to insult anyone, but it is the Ray Gibson Show. Can we now consider ourselves having a news babe? Because every good radio show has a news babe.
Yeah, it's a news babe, but I don't know. Do I
refer
to myself as news babe?
I mean, I don't. If he calls me a babe.
Yeah, I don't want Mona to come in here and punch me or something.
I'm going to hide behind the characters here. I'm going to hide behind the memos on the screen here as I ponder the concept. Anyway, so we have a news babe girl in the studio. That's my baby sister Mona Silva. News baby sister Mona Silva. Maybe that's the way it's going to work. I don't know. This is going to stumble over this for about the next 10 minutes if I don't stop what I'm doing right this very second. But an interesting day yesterday, and I can tell that Mona's into the job because she brought some soap for the Stinky Boys bathroom.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yes, now we can wash our hands after we use the restroom.
I checked with
and
Dr.
I have my hand sanitizer.
Dr. Vince Akimoto and I remember having a conversation with him a few years ago about the efficacy of soap and all of the different hand sanitizers. He said, just get water hot enough and you can wipe away 97.9.
Because he's a boy. A boy would say that.
Girls and girl doctors, not so much. Anyway, so that's Mona's over there. Who else needs an introduction around here? Who else do I need to say hello to?
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
Massive crowd massing up on the Facebook Live, led by James Howard. He came in first, beating Ismael in his sophisticated alien technology. Is it the same alien technology that gave us this odd brand of beer? Hold on a second. Let me see if I can call that image back up on the screen, just because it's maybe one of the more interesting things that I'm going to see today. Do I have it? I had. There it is. There. This I got. Who did I get this from? This is James Howard sent this out. This is the picture of the alien Bud Light. I'm assuming that this might have been the special can that they put together for the raid on Area 51.
Right. I think that's what it's all about. Yeah.
I want to be able to see the whole top of it, because anybody, old Budweiser drinkers from a long time ago will remember this was the day and age before cell phones and things like that. Mm-hmm. So when you were drinking and you were bored, you didn't have anything to do but memorize the label on the can. This is the famous Budweiser beer. We know of no other beer which costs so much to brew and age. Our exclusive Beechwood aging process produces the smoothest of drinkability you will find in no other beer at any price.
Very good. Very nice. You must have been really bored.
Yeah. I got a 1.5 GPA from Father Duenas, but oddly, I remember that for all of these years later. Let me see who was there at the time. It was Ron Sablon and Ken Torrey and I, and between the two of them, maybe they ought to remember.
You now have a 4.0 in GPA.
Heather Pear is online. So is John Ray Taitano. I see Mark Menabusen is there. J.B. St. Nicholas. Dave Torrey, that's Ken's brother, is online this morning. James Lester Lanzo. There's Sandra De Leon Guerrero and Enrico Blancaflor, and that rounds out the top 10 this morning. But so many other names pulling in behind him. Rose Greeno, I saw Marilu Bersimmon in there earlier. Keena McCausland says her trash day is Thursday, but she's in Washington State, so she probably knows what day it is today. I see Vince Duenas, Anita Muffness with her pretty Valentine's eyes. Governor Carl T.C. Gutierrez, we've brought the sunshine back, or we're bringing the sunshine back. At least we will a little bit later on once some of the super typhoon gets out of the way. Emma Tanya Afligui Concepcion is hanging out. I see Steve Stetton-Betts. Good morning to you. Linda Gabriel, Ron and Cindy De La Rosa. Carlos Barreto's in early. Levon C. Guerrero Meno. I got Brian Ortiz. AB, what you up to? Long time. Alfredo Mendoza. Tony and Annette Unpinko Ada is on. Now, Mana, just so you know, when you see Tony and Annette Unpinko Ada,
yes,
I'm not sure which one it is. It might be
That's Tony. That's Senator Tony.
Right. It might be, but it might be the senator.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we're and I've asked him. I said, which one is it?
The senator or his wife.
Yeah, and one day or the next they don't know. Kay Leah is online. Kay, love the pictures from Washington, D.C. Love your eyelashes. They're gorgeous. Charlene Marchessault is online. Who else is hanging out? Ken L.G., the other Governor Leon Guerrero is online. I see Didi Crisostomo is hanging out. So is Carl Facuda Jr., Pam Duvall from up in Zigotown. Wow, that eye. Yes, we are lucky. And there's the Pam Duvall sound effect. What is that exactly? What it was? It sound like a the gurgling noise that the washing machine makes when it's changing cycles.
Just a big juicy bong hit.
There we go. I should play that commercial again this morning, right? That was so much fun yesterday. Remind me to cue that up as we get out of the bottom of the hour, because it was so fun, and I mentioned it early and then didn't play it until later. So for the early crowd, I'll get it on today. James Schmidt is there. Cody James, who managed to get all of the airplanes in and out and safe in the last couple of days, him and the other air traffic controller guys. Thesius Mendiola, Sabine Chargaloff, Lady D up in Jigo, Dion Shinahara is online. Zayd Tatming Lewis saying, Buenas, Mona, and Ray.
I've been called everything. Mona.
I like it when they call you Mona Silver.
Monica.
Instead of Mona Silver.
At the legislature, I was called Mona Munya Tadagui. It's like, Wow, thank you. Thank you for your vote.
Other Southerners, Jennifer Posch-Schnitger is there. Rick Leone, Robert Lizama, Jose Martinez is online. Bob Lizama saying, welcome back to Media, Mana. Carl Fukuda Jr. said, looking forward to coming home, even if it's only for 12 hours. Really, that's a short run. Can we pick you up at the airport, take you someplace, and then head you back to the counter? Is that possible? Greg Karabach from Take Cares Online, Jackie Brohar Cabrera, and Ming O Ree, and the crowd, like I said, is massing on the Facebook Live, and I got no problems with that whatsoever. 627. As usual, we take a look at some of the big stories that are also amassing. I keep wanting to say amassing at the border because in my mind, one of the big stories that we've got, and it might have been out yesterday, but I wasn't paying much attention because we were all in typhoon mode yesterday. But I guess we sent a contingent of guards to another deployment, but it's such a weird kind of deployment because we're not sending him to Djibouti and we're not sending him off into some weird kind of Horn of Africa, Horn of the Middle East kind of place. They're going to Arizona. We've sent our guard guys to Arizona. Yeah, that's what my understanding is. They're going to go and participate in the guarding of our southern borders out there.
Well, we do know that the president did call on the guards, the guardsmen to assist in that endeavor. So
I guess we got
you can
guys
only
here.
assume that Guam has the highest number of guard members per capita.
So let's get some of these guys and girls out there. The question that I've got is, here we are. It's the 9th of October. Is this a short deployment, or do you know whether they're going to be there for a while? We'll see if we can find out. Maybe Major Joe is listening and can fill us in, because you have been through this before as a wife of a guardsman, where it's the holidays and they're living in a tent in the desert
rough.
somewhere. Yeah.
It's rough, yeah.
Hard time. So I'm about worried about the families that maybe have got some deployment in there. But front page of the Post, this one here will take your breath away. A teen survives a cliff fall. This is the cliff over at Jonestown.
Yeah.
If you don't know where it is, that's fine. You don't absolutely positively need to be there. Generally gets trashed up. In my recollection recently, the only reason why we talked about this is because there's just been so much trash and debris. It's a very common dumping place for that location. Also, common makeout spot back in the day. There used to be more of the rail that would protect people from going over on the side, but I guess that rail's gone. Don't have too many details on the teen, other than the fact that he managed to so far survive this fall.
Can you imagine that?
No,
It is a beautiful sight, but I mean, it's just I would not.
So
I'm so deathly afraid of heights. I don't go near the end.
Yeah, it's exactly my point. So there's a couple of here's how I want to go. Wait a second, I can't use that one on the radio. But I don't want to go in a plane crash because it's that long fall and all the time that you've got to think about it. I don't want to fall to my death because I worry about that sudden impact at the bottom, and I don't want to have to go through the anxiety of drowning. I would hope that it would be quick. Maybe in a hospital under all kinds of mad, incredible drugs or something like that, and I just slip and wouldn't know what had happened. But when you think about a fall of 100 feet, I mean, that's a ways down. Plus, you got to deal with getting the cuts and the bruises, and then the ocean. The fact that this kid survived is nothing short of an absolute miracle. So kudos to everybody that was involved in the rescue, and prayers to this kid, still unidentified at this point. To prayers that he's able to recover just as miraculously as everything else. 6:30 in the morning. Bunch of other stories in the table of contents, and many of them had me doing the WTF exclamation point in my head this morning. More on that, explanations of that, couple of clippings that I think are interesting as the Ray Gibson Show continues. It's 6:31 and time for headlines now from the Guam Daily Post. News with Montecito Tyrant.
An oversight hearing will be held today at the legislature on the Department of Corrections. That oversight hearing is expected to discuss the bunch of problems over at the prison, to include the recent erroneous releases of inmates. Director Sam Brennan will take the hot seat. That hearing will be at 6. It's expected to continue through 8 p.m. A 15-year-old boy apparently suffered serious injuries from a fall yesterday off of the Jonestown Cliff in Tamuning. Guam fire rescuers pulled the teen from the rough waters below and transported him to GMH. It's unclear how the boy fell and how he's doing today. Federal prosecutors argue that Doña Mayor Jesse M. Bloss is a danger to the community, and the District Court of Guam should deny his request to be released from custody. The mayor says he's being held in violation of the law, but the U.S. Attorney's Office says he's a danger as he misused his elected position to allegedly assist drug traffickers. Blas pleaded not guilty to extortion and bribery charges. And the Mauricio mayor is asking for the public's help in finding the person or persons who left a decapitated carcass of a dog at the village cemetery. The dog was found in a second tier of the crypts. Mayor Ernest Chargaloff says he received a call from a resident who'd gone to the cemetery on Friday to visit a loved one. When they found the carcass, he's now asking anyone with information to give him a call at the Mauricio mayor's office. And those are your headlines from the Guam Daily Post.
It's 6:32, and that's iConnect time. Call iConnect and ask them about the tax refund promo that they've got here. It's a really kind of awesome deal. You sign up for a year's worth of service. They give you a month free. Heck, they even give you a phone free if you don't have one. Details, terms, and conditions apply. Find out by calling them at 888-8888.
Want 10% off your next flight to the U.S.? Now through October 31, receive 10% off select United Airlines flights to the U.S. when you purchase your ticket with your United credit card or United Mileage Plus credit card from First Hawaiian Bank. Use promo code FHB019 when booking your flight. With a travel sale like this, you could wake up to a different sunrise in any part of the U.S. Visit FHB.com/United Fair Sale 19 to learn more. Terms and conditions and restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC.
Yeah, okay, I got you. 6:33 in the morning. Is it time for me to do this? You want me to do the other? Okay, yeah, that's fine. I didn't have it in front of me, but I'm sure I'll be able to find it. Portions of the Ray Gibson Show being brought to you by American Medical Center, accepting Medicare, Aetna, and new patients. 647-8262 gets you more information.
Hulu is all your TV in one place, plus more. Watch thousands of hit shows, movies, and award-winning Hulu originals for only $5.99 per month. It's TV without the cable contract and the freedom of on-demand streaming. Get current network shows from ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, and binge watch every season of your favorite cable shows. Premium Hulu viewing is brought to you by Proline Automotive and AB Sports, Guam's store for Nike. To advertise on Hulu, call Choice Digital at 989-0042.
Looks like Route 8 might be the busiest spot on the island right now in terms of traffic. North and southbound Marine Corps Drive into and out of Gigo and Dededo still running clean right now. Going to take you clean all the way through the Kmart intersection. A little bit of traffic in front of John F. Kennedy because, classes start there in a few minutes. I think first bell is at 6:45. Then, as I was saying, 8, 10, and 16, that intersection running a little bit busy right now. Then it'll build up until you get into that one good turn into Teetson as everybody is making their way to go and be high school students this morning. You also see a little bit of buildup of the traffic at the McMobile intersection. A couple of reasons why, because there's a McDonald's there, and there's an intersection there, and there's also Harvest Christian Academy on the inside of that. So traffic beginning to start to build up through there. That should be clean all the way into the downtown Hagutnia area. Nothing going to slow you down there. Don't see anything up at Navy Hospital and Guam High. Don't see anything, oddly enough, happening at the intersection of 1 and 2. Yesterday, things were moving slow because they had closed the back gate, but my guess is that has been reopened now, effective yesterday morning. So if it's closed, do me a favor. Somebody that's driving through there, let me know about that. Would you? 888-8255 or send me a WhatsApp of the traffic jam at 988-5874.
Chili's Grill and Bar is now open at the second floor of the Tumon Sands Plaza.
Hi, welcome to Chili's.
Come and see what the buzz is all about. Grab your friends and savor their sizzling fajitas, big mouth burgers, and fall off the bone smoked ribs while sipping on their world famous Presidente margaritas. Treat yourself to an elevated experience at Chili's and feel why they're like no place else. Now open on the second floor of Tumon Sands Plaza. Together, we Chili's.
Morning talk that matters. It's the Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Just crazy music, got a lot of beat, got a lot of energy. Recognize that not everybody has the same amount of, energy for mornings as I do, but we'll ramp you into the process. 888-8255, 888-TALK to bring you all the energy that you need. Joanne Renee is online. Where are you from, Joanne? Where is it that you were hailing from and visiting the program from this morning? I see Tim Lahan. I know where he's from. Cousin Tommy Barcinas is there. Lillian Cruz. Sandra Manley Stanley.
Auntie Sandra.
That's what I said.
Hi, Auntie Sandy.
Hi, Auntie Sandy. For Dedido, trash was just picked up. Congratulations to you. And mea culpa from ZZ Timingly says, put favor, let's spinel tech lines, mana dispensa like. Thanks, JG. Appreciate that. Leah Beth Nahalawa is online. Big Sister Shelley is there. Gabrielle Williams is hanging out again this morning. So is Joni and Ken Borja and a bunch of other people that are finding that this is the place that you want to spend your mornings. This is the place where if you want to find out what's going on, and maybe hear a smart aleck comment or two, or maybe even some political gossip. This is the place to find all of that stuff. Have you been plugging into any cool political gossip recently? Anything involving you? How's that? No.
You know, I try to ignore that. It may or may not be true. I just never know.
Yeah, I got you. Well, if not, we're in a perfect position to make stuff up.
Yeah.
So we'll work on some of that here this morning. 888-8255, as I said, is the telephone number. Is going through some of the stories on the front of today's Guam Daily Post. Like I said, the teen surviving a fall from the cliff over at Jonestown. I think maybe after this, somebody ought to decide what it is that we're eventually going to do with that. You know who I'd be interested to talk to is somebody that's way older than I am that would know more about that particular spot on the rock. When was that built? Who was it originally built for? I think the legend and lore was it was originally built for one of the Joneses.
Our friend Tina Garcia probably has some information because she grew up in the house across the street. So
you know what? And so
she probably knows.
Our beloved Auntie Annie Bradalio lives right across the street from that as well.
Annie.
I don't. I try not to bother her very much. We've got a couple of other stories here. Deployed Guam Guard soldiers deny allegations of poor living conditions. This is an interesting story because it feels like, you know what it feels like? It feels like the complaint letter was written by the same guy that is writing the stories about. You know what? I'm sitting on $10 million. I've got to move out of the country of Nigeria, and if you could give me your bank account number, I'd be happy to give you a certain percentage of all of this money. It's just radically poor English that's here. Living conditions are terrible. Water has caused soldiers to become sick on a daily basis due to the uncleanliness of filterings. Barracks are in a sore eye. A sore eye. That's how this person is casting it's a sore, not an eyesore, a sore eye.
It's almost poetic.
Some soldiers don't even eat at the facility due to the issue of the foods are just upright disgusting. Not downright disgusting, upright disgusting and unknown. So like I said, it's got the earmark of one of those kind of crazy emails that are floating around. So it doesn't surprise me that there are people that we are aware of that are actually deployed Guam guardsmen in that area saying, yeah, I don't know who this guy is or what he's talking about, but we're okay here. And then there's this story here that's got WTF just all over it. And maybe you have seen it. Decapitated dog carcass.
Isn't that something?
Found at the Morito Cemetery. What kind of sick individual do you have to be to cut the head off of a dog? And number one, to do that. Number one, just to decapitate the dog. And then number two, find an open crypt in the cemetery and jam the dog up in there. And there's something wrong.
It's really sick.
With somebody out there, and I hope that they find him. I'm with the mayor on this. I hope the person who did this is able to get some help because this is just sick. What is the deal there?
James Howard would say it's aliens.
Good. Well, yeah. Maybe one of those things.
Doing one of their weird experiments.
But I'm trying to think. I wonder if there is, people are going to make this connection. There was the guy up in Jigo that was shooting dogs, shot Pug with a dog, and a couple of. Our own brother Dave had his dog shot. Dog wandered out of the yard and was trying to make its way home, and the dog got shot. And all of these cases, find themselves over at the court, and everything seems to be getting tossed out. We never did find Dave's dog's killer, but at least in Pugwa's killer's case, everybody knew who it was, but they could not make any of the allegations stick because of, just the way the law had been written. Not once, but twice, this guy has been drummed out. So I'm wondering if that's sending word, kind of a message to the crazy dude Grapevine on Guam, that you can do anything you want to the animals and not expect to be held accountable. You know, kind of like our drug dealers here. 6:41 in the morning, 888-8255-888-TALK. Welcome back to Bob Klitsky. Tall Tales sounds great in the afternoon. I hope everybody's getting a chance to hear it. Tell me where you went. You went. Give me an idea of your trip report there, Mr. Klitsky.
Well, I started out in L.A. I went to New Mexico, Texas, Miami, Virginia, Tennessee, the Badger State of Wisconsin, and then back to L.A., turned in the rent-a-car, and flew home via Tokyo.
Nice. Now, at any time where did your destinations intersect with Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and Chief of Staff Tony Babauta? Was there ever any time that you guys were in the same zip code?
It's hard for me to say. I will say this, though. I didn't go to the Gay Pride Parade, so chances are I wouldn't have run into the Lieutenant Governor.
I got you. There's an interesting story about some comments that our Lieutenant Governor has made with regard to what is it? The transgender ban on the military. I'll tell you about that. It's not in the local media. This is the commentary that was actually picked up by America's LGBT news source, the Washington Blade. I'll give you a riff on that a little bit later on. But no doubt while you were doing all of that traveling, former Senator and Judge Bob Klitsky, you probably heard about the plight of the villagers of Jutnia now kind of without a mayor, but with a mayor. The Attorney General's office, acknowledged that there is a, quote, power vacuum in the village of Jutnia, and it's going to be difficult, if not impossible, to relieve that pressure there because there is not yet a vacancy in the office. And I thought maybe I'd run this by somebody with a JD at the end of their name. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm looking at 5 GCA 40110 subsection B, which says, if by reason of death, resignation, removal from office, inability, or failure to perform, there should be a vacancy in the office of the mayor less than 240 days before the date of the next general election. It shall be filled by the vice mayor, where there is a vice mayor, and there shall be a vacancy in the position of vice mayor till the end of the term. In a village, in a municipality where there is no vice mayor and the vacancy is less than 240 days before the date of the next election, the vacancy shall be filled by a majority vote of the municipal planning council.
For which it doesn't exist in Jutnia either.
Yeah, right. And this probably goes back to the beginning of that section that I read, because it said, if by reason of inability or failure to perform. So by not appointing a mayor's council, that's strike one against the mayor in the failure to perform column.
Well, and an inability to perform. He obviously can't be functioning as a mayor from behind bars.
And that's strike two, that he's in custody right now and he cannot perform his function as a mayor. So I would say on the face of the statute, the office is vacant, but trying to figure out what the Attorney General said with regard to this question from the report in the paper and not having seen the opinion, I think what the Attorney General was saying is the hard question here is to determine the forum decidendi. In other words, who gets to decide?
That's the question that I have had since the beginning of all of this. Now, the mayor himself can decide and resign the position, and today's Guam Daily Post is calling for him to do exactly that for the benefit of the residents. You know, if he's found innocent after all of this drama takes place over in the courts, then he's more than welcome to run again. In the meantime, step down, get out of the way, and allow for your replacement to be determined as per statute. At any rate, though, the question that I have is, you're right, who would be the removing agency? If we've determined, as you've already, I think, adequately pointed out, that there's an inability to serve, a failure to serve, because he had not appointed a municipal planning council, then he could be removed from office, but by who?
Well, the first alternative would be the Election Commission, because the Election Commission has to determine the 240-day question. So the Election Commission could make a finding it's more than 240 days from the next general election. therefore the position is vacant and must be filled by the mayor's council. That would be the job of the election commission. Then you go from there to there's a catch-all.
James Howard's bringing up an interesting point online, though. Could that be done at the initiative of the voters, the people of Zotnia? Is there some way that they can petition either for a recall election, and that would get the guys over at the election commission out of the hot water soup?
Well, if we were on Tall Tales, I would ask the real Joe Cruz to do the Law and Order notebook sound, because a person in Jonia could file a writ of quo warranto and serve it on the mayor of Jonia.
Okay, I got the quo part. Here
we go. By what warrant do you hold this office? And he would have to come to court and show why he can remain in office. I think that would be the only way that one of the residents of Jonia could address the matter. Although it may very well be that under our set of laws, only the government, the Attorney General, could bring the writ of quo warranto, but that would be a way to test it. Then there's another provision.
Yeah, but the testing would have to take place in a court, and so that would eat up a whole lot of the time left between here and the start of the 240-day clock, right?
Well, writ practice can move really, really fast.
Oh, okay.
It can move as fast as TROs and injunctions move, so it could move really fast. Then the other proposition is this, that there is a catch-all section at the beginning of Title IV that says if there is a position in the government which is vacant and there's no other way to fill that vacancy, the governor does it. So,
but we still have to answer. But we still have to legally answer the question on whether a vacancy exists.
Well, and the way I read the law, the governor would be the one to answer that question.
She could do it by executive order?
Let's see. It wouldn't even require an executive order. It would just require a finding and an appointment. A notice to the mayor that the gentleman in jail, that he's no longer the mayor.
Yeah.
And the name of the person who then becomes the mayor until the next election. So the governor could be the forum decidendi on this because of her ability to fill vacancies when there's no other provision in law to fill vacancies.
Now, this sounds like there's a lot of activity going on up there. Are you armed? I'm hearing all the sirens going off. There might be somebody lurking in the neighborhood.
That's very possible. And, talk about a vacancy in the office of mayor. That's where we are here at Gigo.
I've heard that. But you got a new subway while you were gone. How's that?
It's a good thing. Gigo is becoming quite the metropolis. There are a variety of commercial establishments in beautiful downtown Gigo.
Absolutely. Like I said, got a new subway up there. That KFC looks great. You've got an automated McDonald's. I mean, it really is a lot of stuff going on there. And you got a nice gun store down the street. But now let me ask you another question, just because it's been a while since I've had any conversations about the beautiful village of Gigo. Where are you going now to get your constitutional taken care of? Didn't they close off that popular walkway by the fire station?
Yes, they did. And I'm probably going to get myself in trouble here because I'm going to confess that there is a sign and there are sawhorses there, which I interpret as a prohibition of bringing in fact, an impossibility of bringing vehicles onto that road.
Yeah.
But I don't see anything there that says that a pedestrian can't use those roads.
Right.
There is also a sign that said that the road will be closed temporarily during the period of construction for the safety of people. Well, there ain't no construction going on up there, so I'm giving myself something that I don't like to see anybody else do. I'm giving myself the benefit of the doubt.
That's okay. But you can defend yourself doing it. 6:51 in the morning. Bob Klitsky is going to be back on the radio at 4 o'clock this afternoon. It's Tall Tales here on 93.3 The Point. Great to have you back. I know a lot of people are excited to have you back, and your the clinical and methodical way that you take some of these issues apart and kind of put them back together so that they make sense. I'm glad you're home.
Well, thank you very much, Ray. It's always good to be home.
Pleasure's mine. 888-8255-888-TALK. Bob Klitsky on the radio and taking this thing apart. Now, Peter Santos made an interesting point here while we were going through all of this, and that is, he could be released at any time. The lawyers went through all of this. I guess the exercise took place the other day, and they found themselves back in the courthouse where, once again, the mayor's lawyer was making a case that this guy is not a danger to the community, and the prosecution said, let me reread some of the comments that were made by the FBI guy that's in charge of the investigation and the threats that were made, not implied, but that were made against the government informant. So, yeah, maybe a danger to the community, certainly has access to people that can make things dangerous for the informant and the informant's family, whoever that happens to be. So, yeah, the guy needs to stay behind bars. He's got to stay away from cell phones and the internet and pieces of paper and crows that carry messages and all of that. We're not going to let him do that. I was surprised, though, that they did not bring up another tactic. Knowing some of the things associated with this case, I thought it would be probably a good idea to just sit there and wait for the court to take care of its business in December. Because if you do it wrong and start making a big noise and clamoring that you need to be let out of jail all the time, it's possible that the prosecution could come back in with another round of information that says, oh, okay, so the stuff we told you a couple of weeks ago isn't enough? Okay, here's some other information that we just happen to have. We were saving it for court, but since you brought it up, here's some more reasons why he may or may not be a danger to the community. That's just kind of the way I'm looking at all of this. If you haven't had a chance yet, I'm pretty sure they've got it at the Post, and I know they've got it at KUAM because that's where I heard it on the SoundCloud that they have. Is the actual audio of the arraignment that took place over at the court, and it was just some interesting, eye-opening stuff there. And the more you listen to it, the more your eyes kind of get wide, going, "Wow, this is happening here. This is happening, with the mayors and with the cops and with the marshals." Yep, absolutely is. What do we got here? Got a bunch of comments. What's that, Mark Cruz? What are you saying? He's laughing about something. Marlborough Road is the perfect substitute for a good jogging area, almost 2 miles. James Howard says, yes, raises for my staff, my first order of business. Are we talking about Terlahi? There's another story floating around. I think KUAM did that on how the mayor has been the most of all the senator has of all of the senators in the 35th Guam legislature. This guy has been the most generous to his staff. Doesn't look good based on the info about mayor's charges, but OOG, a man is guilty until proven innocent by a court of law. That is absolute fact. Artie Gibson is online watching the program here today. It's always nice when family shows up to see how you're doing it at work. A few other folks that we might line up here this morning is taking a look at the table of contents and some of the things that I find interesting. The government of Guam. Yesterday. Where is the paperwork? The last word that I got before the program ended from the Joint Information Center was that we're back to Core 4 as of 10 o'clock this morning, and everybody go back to work. Mm-hmm. They got that word out I got a copy of that email at must have been, 20 to 10. And all of a sudden, my WhatsApp starts blowing up with all of these GovGuam employees asking out loud, what? They've told us we're not going to have work today, and so everybody, the kids are home from school and the kids are home from daycares because those things are closed, and then they say, okay, we're going back to Core 4 at 10 o'clock this morning, and that's when everybody in the government of Guam can report to work. Just come on in. Come on in.
Well, when I was in the government, it was we had to deal with it a number of times,
mm-hmm.
and we were told monitor the condition because if it changes, you will be called back to work.
You could be called back, but called back right away. I mean, it could,
so make arrangements. Should you be called back, you need to figure out how you're going to.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they send the word out at 20 till, and it's the thing that the drop dead is going to be at 10 o'clock. I'm wondering how many people.
No, I think there's a little bit more flexibility, and they allow the workers some time to make arrangements for their families and then get to work. Usually about an hour or so. Makes sense.
Well,
right?
at least a couple of people that I were talking to said, I'm taking leave. I'll turn in the paperwork tomorrow, but I'm taking leave.
Maybe if they've got a mean boss and they have to be in right away.
What's the line? I've already started drinking. It's too late. There's no way I can go back to work now. A couple of minutes away from the top of the hour. 888-8255 is the phone number. So that was interesting. And as they were complaining, the only thing that I could say to a couple of people that sent me the blurbs to complain was, you got to give them a break. This is their first typhoon. this is the first real disaster that this government has had to face. So, it's going to be touch and go. It's going to be kind of iffy.
Yeah, fact is, a lot of GovGuam folks could have gone to work drunk. You wouldn't have known any difference.
Nate Horn asking, and how many GovGuam holidays are there again? Asking for a friend. I might be able to find that list for you. John Wigston's online. Ronnie Paris Montanonia saying, good morning, everybody. Valine Iriarte, good morning to you. Did you, Valine, tell me that you got the meme that I sent to the Cheek Clappers group, because it's funny. All right, James Howard says, dude, I got to get to work. I'm at TGI Fridays. Everybody's saying the same thing. Cousin Troy is online. Mana says, Mana!
Hi, my most beautifulest, favoriteest cousin in the whole wide world.
Oh, see, the Bedarians are going to go crazy when they hear that. Nice to see Cousin Troy out there.
But Troy is a special place in my heart because I watched the kid grow up next door. When he was with Uncle Enos, and he would come over, talk my ear off, and I'd say, your grandpa's calling you.
6:58, so that at least explains a little bit about Cousin Troy. All right, fine. All right, back to the table of contents here. The GAC stories that I've got, and this one, a very, very serious. Lemhi picker hits a live wire. Got to be careful when you're going out there.
Get up, it's Jesus Day.
Okay, I'm not in charge of that. Just, if the guy dies, I'm not in charge of that. I'm just saying. So the guy's out there picking lemhi, and he's got some kind of contraption, and apparently it was conductive because he hit something on the wire, and it came and zapped him. Hope everything is okay. It's one of those things, and it's hard to see when you're working through it. Back in the olden days, I don't know. I just wait until after a storm like the kind that we had. Pick them up off the ground.
Yeah, and the best thing is, the best advice is don't be picking breadfruit from trees that have
wires
going through them. I mean, there are plenty of breadfruit trees that don't have live wires going through them.
Closing in on 7 o'clock in the morning. All right, here's what's going to be happening at the radio station. I'm going to go and take a nap for a couple of minutes. Fox News Live is going to be coming up in a second. We'll find out what's going on latest around the nation and the world. For those of you watching the markets, 300 points down for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Looks like things are softening up again in the tariff conversation. We'll take a look at what's happening with the commodities in the next hour as well. Jerry Roberts in the Extra Point. Mana Silva Tyron with news from the Guam Daily Post coming up in just a couple of minutes as well. In the meantime, this is KUSG. Got you 93.3. This is The Point.
Another subpoena on the way. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. House Democrats taking aim at the U.S. ambassador to the EU, Gordon Sondland, who did not appear at the latest closed-door hearing in the impeachment probe today. The State Department blocking his testimony. Committee Chairman Adam Schiff considers it a further act of obstruction.
The Democratic chairman of the House Intelligence Committee complained that Sondland used a personal device and has text messages and emails that he thinks are very relevant to their investigation but have not been provided to date. And it's important to note that Congressman Schiff gave a lengthy statement to reporters today, but he took no questions from reporters.
Fox's Catherine Herridge on Capitol Hill. Republicans, including the president, argue that due process rights are being denied in the way the impeachment probe is being handled. In the college admissions cheating scandal, a New York City couple gets a month in prison for cheating on their daughter's exams.
Both of them spoke before the judge today before the sentencing went underway. Greg Abbott speaking tearfully and noting that of his daughter that she suffered from chronic Lyme disease, but noted that there were others also victims of his crime and apologized to every single soul demoralized or offended by my actions. Prosecutors say that Marcia and Greg Abbott, who have homes in both both Aspen and Manhattan are the only parents that have been charged in the college admissions scandal to pursue the exam cheating route twice. Together, they shelled out some $50,000 to hire a paid test taker to correct their daughter's ACT exam and another $75,000 bribe to facilitate cheating on the SAT subject tests.
Fox's Molly Line at federal court in Boston. Prosecutors wanted 8 months in prison. Late word that a California utility is going to shut off power to more than 800,000 customers in 34 counties to reduce the risk of wildfire amid dry, windy conditions. The power equipment has been blamed for devastating wildfires in the past. America is listening. Fox News.
Introducing KFC's new macaroni and cheese bowl. It's finger-licking, cheese. KFC chicken. Cheese and chicken for only $5. Visit your nearest KFC and get your hands on this chicken and cheese $5 mac and cheese bowl. Only for a limited time and only at KFC. It's finger-licking good. Want to grow your business? Start a new venture? Or stay ahead of the competition? You can. With Docomo Pacific Smart Business Solutions tailored to your specific needs and ambitions, you can do it all. Partner with a network with best-in-class network coverage, state-of-the-art communication platforms, and a team dedicated to providing you with premium support. Call 688-2677 to start your journey to success today. Docomo Pacific Business, delivering your future today.
The NBA Commissioner Adam Silver rejecting criticism that the league bowed to China by initially apologizing to anyone offended by a tweet in support of pro-democracy demonstrators in Hong Kong.
The league initially came out saying the statement made by Houston Rockets GM Daryl Morey was, quote, regrettable, but that didn't really placate the Chinese Basketball Association, and it absolutely infuriated U.S. politicians on both sides of the aisle who said that China does not get to call the shots. Well, now Commissioner Silver is trying a do-over, saying that he's not trying to tell others how to run their governments, but in the end, he's an American, and he supports freedom of expression for his employees.
Fox's Trace Gallagher. Silver also says he hopes to meet with appropriate officials this week when he's in Shanghai, where the Lakers and Brooklyn Nets are playing on Thursday. Meantime, Chinese state TV canceling broadcasts of preseason games. A comedian plays defense over a viral photo from a football game by teaching Twitter haters a lesson on kindness.
Ellen DeGeneres standing up to social media critics who slammed her for attending a football game with former President George W. Bush.
I'm friends with George Bush. In fact, I'm friends with a lot of people who don't share the same beliefs that I have. We're all different, and I think that we've forgotten that that's okay, that we're all different.
DeGeneres facing heavy backlash after a photo went viral that showed her sitting beside the former president at this weekend's Cowboys game. Out Magazine tweeting, Ellen DeGeneres laughing it up with someone who has actively tried to harm our community feels disappointing, irresponsible, and dangerous.
Fox's Carly Shimkus. Ellen telling her audience that being kind doesn't mean only to the people who think the same way you do. A spokesman for the former president says he and Mrs. Bush appreciate Ellen's comments about respecting one another, adding they respect her. Wall Street goes back to worrying about the trade dispute with China. The Dow drops 314 points. This is Brady. This is Fox News.
Life happens. You need to go to work. The kids need to go to school. There are family events, friend events, any event, and everyone needs to communicate. When you need mobile services that you know you can rely on, choose GTA. As the winner of Ookla's 2019 award for Best Mobile Coverage on Guam, you can rely on us to offer you better plans to modernize your life, fit your needs, and keep you connected. So visit us today and let us help you connect. GTA, we start with you.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
The
current world record for longest motorcade of Nissan cars is 250, and Nissan Guam wants to smash, crash, shatter, beat that number. All Nissan owners are invited to help set a new Guinness World Record by joining our Nissan motorcade from JFK to Adelup October 13th. Any Nissan Datsun or Infiniti is eligible. Register at the Nissan Guam showroom and get your official motorcade bib. The first 370 entrants will get some awesome Nissan swag gear, plus a chance to win thousands in cash and prizes. Register today and let's put Guam in the record books.
7 o'clock news from the Guam Daily Post is being brought to you by Proline Automotive, customizing Guam's finest rides, located in the Harmon Industrial Park.
It's 6 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock, and these are your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The Department of Corrections Director Samantha Brennan is back to work after her 2-week leave of absence and already is set to take the hot seat in an oversight hearing tonight at the Guam Legislature. Brennan, who was attending the National Governors Association training in Washington, D.C., returned to work on Thursday. According to Governor's Communications Director Janella Carrera, her first order of business was to meet with the governor, as her agency has faced some backlash and lost its deputy director all while she was off island. The oversight hearing tonight will be at 6 p.m. in the public hearing room at the legislature. Vice Speaker Talena Nelson is expected to hammer down on the problems at the prison, to include the recent erroneous releases of inmates. Federal prosecutors argue that Jotnya Mayor Jesse M. Blas is a danger to the community, and the District Court of Guam should deny his request to be released from custody. Blas said he's being held in violation of the law and his detention should be revoked. An assistant U.S. attorney filed the government's opposition on Tuesday, arguing the mayor posed a danger to the community because he used his position to give drug traffickers access to mailboxes, which were intended for village residents in order to receive packages of narcotics. Court documents state a defense attorney filed an amended motion on Tuesday which asked the court to revoke Blas's detention. The motion states that the government's flawed argument led to a wrongful detention order that has deprived Blas of his rights under the 8th and 5th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution. The defense asked the court to release Blas immediately with whatever conditions the court feels are appropriate. We'll have more news after this.
Proline Automotive has everything to customize your whip, from custom wheels to Nankang tires or just hubcaps. They have it. Feel better that it's protected with a dash cover, car cover, seat covers, or floor mats. Visit Proline Automotive, located in Harmon Industrial Park.
Take Care Wellness presents the 7th Save the Susu Dance Fitness Fundraiser, October 19th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Teason High School. Tickets are $10 in advance, $15 the day of the event, and $5 for kids ages 6 to 12. Tickets are available at Take Care Wellness, Guam Cancer Care, and through Marissa Collins. Grand prize for the raffle is a round-trip ticket to Asia or Micronesia from United Airlines. All proceeds benefit Guam Cancer Care. This message is made possible by the stations of Choice Broadcasting.
A 15-year-old boy suffered some serious injuries after he fell 100 feet from the Jonestown Cliff in Tamuning yesterday. The boy was pulled from the waters below by Guam Fire rescuers. Guam Fire Department spokesman Kevin Riley told the Guam Daily Post Rescue 2 was able to retrieve the victim, who was conscious and responsive at the time. They brought him to the Hagutnya Marina by boat, and he was later transported by ambulance to GMH. GFD is reminding people to avoid hazardous areas and exercise caution at all times, especially in unfavorable weather conditions. A 22-year-old man who led Guam police on a high-speed car chase through Dededo last week has since recovered from his injuries and has been confined at the Department of Corrections. Jerome John Pangilinan was arrested on a number of charges to include suspicion of reckless disregard for safety while impaired, warrant of arrest, aggravated assault, and assault on a police officer, eluding a police officer, and use of a deadly weapon in the commission of a felony. Pangilinan spent about 5 days recovering at the Guam Regional Medical City following the chase that led to an officer-involved shooting. He was released from the hospital on Monday night after he suffered from lacerations to his head and fractures on his hands. GPD, meanwhile, is conducting an internal affairs investigation into that shooting. They'll determine if the officer was justified in firing off his weapon. And a decapitated carcass of a dog was found in the second tier of the crypts at the Maritzo Cemetery, and the mayor now is calling out to the community to help him find the culprits. The animal was found on Friday by folks visiting their loved ones if you have any information, call the Mauricio Mayor's office. His phone number is 828-8312. And that's a look at some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. For more, you can log on to their website at postguam.com or pick up a copy of the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray and Mike with your weather.
Mostly cloudy today and windy. Scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. It's one of those days, ladies, maybe long pants instead of a skirt to the office today. Expect that through the early afternoon. Isolated showers tonight. South winds 20 to 30 miles an hour, decreasing 15 to 20 miles an hour this evening. Daytime highs should be about 87 degrees. Overnight lows about 78 degrees. Sunrise this morning was at 10 after 6. They got sunset tonight that's going to be taking place at 5 after 6. So earlier and earlier and earlier in the evening for those of you that like to go out there and do some sunset hunting. Not so great of a sunset last night. And if you take a look at the weather radar, you'll see why. Just so much junk in the neighborhood.
Man, you just ruined my Uptown 2 walk this afternoon.
I did.
Thanks for that.
Hey, no problem. Happy to help. You got to go walk somewhere else then.
I know, right? Looking at the radar right now, we got the outer rain band still trying to make its through the area. A lot of heavy showers moving through. Actually, one good heavy shower getting ready to move all across Guam, even as we speak. Got another one lining up behind it. These will have very heavy rain, but it'll be brief because, as you see on radar, these are clicking along at a pretty good pace. That's because of those 20 and 30 mile per hour winds that we have out there coming out of the south-southwest. This will continue through the morning hours as this outer rain band continues to pull on through as it's being pulled through by the departure of Super Typhoon Hagibis. Let's go to, I guess, satellite. We checked that out where there's a big monster storm. It underwent eyewall replacement cycle yesterday, and it's getting its act together. It didn't lose much strength. It did drop down to a Category 4 from a Category 5, but I think it's back up to 5 now. I'm not certain about that, but it's still a monster out there. But it is pulling away, as you can see on the satellite. We're just under the influence of the last rain band, and it's got to come on through before things clear out for us by later on tonight. So we're hoping that that'll happen, and we might get a sunset this evening, and definitely tomorrow should look a whole lot better.
That's it?
Yeah,
that was the period of the end of the
pretty much. But, I mean, I say that, but then I see another line of a rain band actually building like 300 miles away back to the east of this thing, and I'm not sure what the heck is going on. So it might be slow to clear out over the next couple of days. But as things would normally go, this storm will pull another 150, 200 miles away, and it should pull this rain band with it, leaving us with better weather.
All right. Well, because there are concerns. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that has already been postponed and displaced this week, and I'm looking at the satellite imagery and thinking, well, there doesn't look like there's much behind it. So what's the weather going to be like? And I know it's kind of early yet; it's only Wednesday, but a prognostication of what things are going to look like, say Sunday, Monday, Tuesday next week, when friends and family are supposed to be flying in from San Diego.
Yeah, and the fact is and the reason I sound a little uncertain when I talk about this system is that this outermost band of rain that's developing far away from the system has me concerned, because models actually last week were showing a secondary low pressure system to form on the heels of this one very close to us and then kind of pull off to the north and get away. But again, we would actually make it for a longer period of rain that we'll see over the next few days. So if one pops up, it will be in that outermost rain band out there, the one that's furthest east, and we'll see how that goes. I'll check the models and see if they're still showing that solution.
Okay. 7:15 in the morning, that's news and weather together here on The Point.
Hey, do you know what time the bank closes? I need to deposit my check.
You know you can do that from your phone.
I can?
With Bank of Guam's mobile app, it's easy. Just endorse the back and snap a pic to deposit it into your account. You can do this from anywhere, anytime, which means no rushing to catch the bank and no lines.
With Bank of Guam's mobile app and online banking, we're always open. Visit bankofguam.com for more information. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
7:15 in the morning, the Ray Gibson Show being brought to you by a variety of folks, including American Medical Center. 3 locations to serve you, one in Upper Tumon, Mangilao, and Oka in Tamuning. I have been to all 3 of these places. 647-8262 is the telephone number. Also being brought to you by the guys over at American Water Tech, a passion for improving lives through better water. Guam Regional Medical City. And American President Lines. Global presence with a local home.
Bringing you closer to the action. Any speaker, anytime. Watch and listen live on thepoint.gu.
quarter after 7 o'clock in the morning. It's the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. We'll take a look at what happened in the market just a couple of minutes, in a couple of minutes. But there's this story here. My buddy Mark sent it to me. I love this. Drexel pays $189,000 to cover a professor's strip club spending. This, according to an investigation by the feds. This professor was focused on research that his federal grants didn't cover. Prosecutors saying his former employer is now picking up the tab. Drexel University was ordered to pay $189,000 after learning that a former professor had spent grant money on strippers and iTunes purchases over the course of a decade. I'm not going to be able to say the guy's full name. It's from somewhere. Dr. Nuankpa.
Bless you.
Had headed the university's Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering, paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in tabs at Philadelphia sports bars and gentlemen's clubs with grant funds from 2007 to 2017. That's according to a statement from the Department of Justice. Drexel settled with the government on Monday. The money was meant to go towards naval technology and energy-related research and was administered by the Navy, National Science Foundation, and the Department of Energy. Nwamka's spending encompassed trips to businesses, including Club Risque, cheerleaders, and the Tacony Club. According to the statement, I can only assume that an outfit named Club Risque might have been the gentleman's club in question.
It could have been, yeah, but it was clearly research. He wanted to find out how many of these expenses he could incur before he lost his job.
Apparently, the number goes, it's $189,000. This is just how many strikes that they're going to wait until you get to get into all of that. All right, well, let's take a look at what happened on the market. Let's see where our 7:17 in the morning. Already got Jerry Roberts in the studio lined up for the extra point. More on that in a second. And let me see here. White House tells House Democrats it will not participate in Trump impeachment inquiry. Anybody surprised by that's breaking news on CNBC. S&P 500 off by 45 points to close at 2893. NASDAQ also off at 7823. They're off by 132 points. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 313 points. 26,164 is where they are at today. FTSE is off by 54 points. Nikkei is going to open up in the green by 212 points, 21,587. Still keep an eye on what's happening in the Nikkei exchange because we're still getting a lot of tourists coming out of Japan, and it does make a difference. Business good in Japan, there's more tourists getting on airplanes to Guam. Hang Seng Index, 25,893. They picked up 72 points, and the Shanghai Index up by only 8, 2,913. On the commodities, take a look at this, $52.81 for a barrel of West Texas crude. Yesterday, $52.55 for a barrel of that for the same barrel here today, $52.55. So a little bit of a step down in the price of West Texas crude. Stateside benchmark, the Guam benchmark is Tapis crude. Not that we use that at the Power Authority or that we've got our own oil shakes that are dealing in that. But this oil turns into the gasoline that goes into your car. $63.52 yesterday, $63.93 today. So a little bit of a step up for Tapis crude here today. 7:19 in the morning, and looking to see if there's any other pieces of business information that might be fun to pass along to you. One of them here is a couple of RFPs, and it's interesting that they're going after this with the guys over at the Guam Power Authority because they're pretty much the only power company on Guam. You might be able to talk to some of the guys in the solar business or the solar game and see about it. But it seems to me that if you want electricity going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for all intents and purposes, it might be the guys over at GPA that do this for you.
Yep. I think so.
So the Guam Power Authority is soliciting proposals from qualified firms / individuals for customer engagement and strategy services.
Ooh.
What do you think? Customer service. Gonna be doing some work with CSRs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like it too. As a consumer of any service, I'm glad that they're paying attention to the customer experience when you go to GPA and any of the different satellite offices that they have there. I think at some point, like the cable companies, like all other utilities that are basically going, okay, we're the only game in town. Here's our prices. Here's our service standard. Take it or leave it. And it looks like these guys want to do something about it.
Maybe I should take a look at that.
Maybe you should take a look at that. Because are you a qualified individual or firm?
Probably not.
Well, don't. You know what? Don't disqualify yourself.
Oh.
That's always the rule. I mean, I wait until John Benevente says, "Get out of here, Roberts."
Get that bald guy out of here. We don't want him.
You know what? Come to think of it, how many bald guys are there at GPA? I wonder if there's a discriminatory hiring practice. We're only hiring haired people.
I should probably check into that.
Well, that's because you have to be able to sense the static electricity, and without hair, you just can't do it.
You can't do it. Dude, you're on fire this morning.
Oh, man.
I got my producer is absolutely on fire. Sweet stuff. Now, okay, here's
upgraded my vodka.
What? You upgraded
I upgraded my vodka. Yeah, instead of the $5 stuff, I got the $8 stuff.
Hey, how about that? You're right up there with the Micronesian kids now. That's great. Request for proposal. You got to listen fast, okay? Because you never know what kind of crazy thing's going to be coming out of somebody's mouth here today. Request for proposal. This one here at the Guam Visitors Bureau. Tourism destination marketing representation services in the Philippines.
Oh.
In the Philippines. Now, how many times?
I think I know a talk show host that might want to fill that job.
I'm just saying, you know, for all the right reasons, just FYI, but for all of the right reasons, which are, number one, it's probably going to be a six-figure salary, right?
Yeah,
probably low six figures getting into this job.
Yeah.
I imagine because it's GVB here and it's a destination marketing representation service that this person you're talking about would be providing, I imagine there would be some amount of travel.
Could be.
And given our current relationship and H-2s and visas that people have got to get out of there, low expectations for any kind of results. Did you go to work today? I went to something that felt like work. Did you talk about tourism to Guam? Yes, I did. I called 2 or 3 people and said you should consider going to Guam for your next vacation or for your next big business trip or your next big convention. You should consider going to Guam. And did they? No, they're going someplace else.
It probably makes sense if they just open up an office out there.
Try again tomorrow. Well, yeah, no, but we've had offices, visitor offices in the Philippines, right? But it's not the easiest thing in the world for people to get visas to come out here. I'm sure the tourist visas and things like that. But I mean, I've seen the lines over at the embassy, and they're there for all day long. But so seriously, it might be a good idea to see if we can boost things up, especially since we now have former Governor Carl T.C. Gutierrez, who is just waiting. He's gone, look, I know the president and people in the White House want to meet Manny Pacquiao. And Manny is now Carl's good friend.
Yep.
And so Carl is waiting for an invitation to take Manny Pacquiao to Washington, D.C. The same way that him and the rest of the family back in the 1970s brought midget wrestlers from the Philippines to Guam. You were part of those promotions, weren't you, Batman?
No.
7:23 in the morning. Hey, guess what? It's time for the extra point. I failed to mention it yesterday because we were busy with typhoon coverage and such. But yesterday was Tuesday, and on Tuesdays there's 2 times Jerry Robertson. You get him on the radio, and you also get him in the Guam Daily Post. So if you've got late delivery or whatever, if you've got yesterday's post laying around, be sure to check out Jerry's column in that. And if you missed that, go to GuamTraining.com where everything is otherwise deposited and online. It's time for the extra point, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and the team at First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes.
So many jobs, so little negotiation. What's that? Negotiation. Today, an idea for those folks who might never even consider negotiating their pay. That's next up on the Extra Point.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
A homeowner's policy protects much more than just your house. It also protects you against claims from someone being hurt on your property. If a visitor is injured at your place, how much are you covered for? The smart thing to do is get the answer today.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
Want 10% off your next flight to the U.S.? Now through October 31, receive 10% off select United Airlines flights to the U.S. when you purchase your ticket with your United credit card or United Mileage Plus credit card from First Hawaiian Bank. Use promo code FHB019 when booking your flight. With a travel sale like this, you could wake up to a different sunrise in any part of the U.S. Visit FHB.com/UnitedFareSale19 to learn more. Terms and conditions and restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC.
In Her Sight, that's INHERSIGHT, is a web business that helps thousands of companies to showcase their organizational cultures and attract female talent. They recently asked women visiting their site whether they'd ever negotiated their salary. Almost half of the 1,041 respondents said no. That surprised her site's leaders, who had figured more women would be proactive and ready to negotiate. Female or male, how do you feel about this? Do you believe that whatever the employer offers is all you're going to get, or is it the starting point in a discussion? I know a lot of employers who would be happy to pay more than the initial offer if an applicant could give them a good reason. Years ago, I knew a guy who applied for a job and the beginning salary was lower than what he needed. He asked about other positions available, and when presented with a list of openings, he saw another job he had experience with and asked how much it paid. Then he did something pretty interesting. He told the interviewer he thought he could save the company some money by consolidating 2 jobs into one. He explained the big picture and said he needed to meet both supervisors over coffee. Intrigued by his bold approach, the interviewer set it up. In the meeting, he suggested that his experience would allow him to handle the 2 positions, and he made them an offer that he'd do both jobs for 60% of the combined salaries for a month. If the experiment didn't work, he'd drop one of the jobs. If it did work to their satisfaction, his pay would be raised to 80% of the combined salaries. They all agreed to try. A month later, he had delivered on his idea, and the company formally created the new position with a higher salary. This was 60% more than the first offer he'd received. The company was thrilled to do this deal because they ended up saving 20%. Plus, there was one less person to pay insurance premiums for. I'm not saying that you can do exactly what this guy did, but you always have the option to ask questions, such as, what else is available? Are there additional responsibilities that could earn me a higher salary? And here's a question that I sometimes give to coaching clients. What would make you want to pay me more? Got that one? I love this question. What would make you want to pay me more? That last one can be nothing short of a mind blower if you ask it of the right person. Generally, it works best when directed to the top manager, be that the owner, CEO, president, general manager, or whoever makes the ultimate decisions. There's more to this than just the pay issue. If you can pull off a play like this, it puts you front and center on the radar screens of the people who can help propel your career forward. If you're the kind of person who has the courage to ask that kind of question and then back it up with action, which means deliver big results, then something amazing could happen for you. Negotiating is about being a little creative and helping others get what they want, which can get you what you want. That's the extra point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show, Guahan Insurance Services, and First Hawaiian Bank. I'm Jerry Roberts.
All right. So just a couple of thoughts on that question, because I love the question. What is it? Is it repeated again?
What would make you want to pay me more?
Okay, so I'm the boss, and there's a couple of things. Number one, take some crap off my desk. If there's a way that way I can spend a little bit more time thinking about other things that might be more productive and maybe enhance the bottom line of the company.
Help me stop working in the business so I can work on the business.
Right. Okay. So if not that, then should it be something that maybe also contributes to the bottom line?
Yeah.
And what is it that would make me get a raise in this operation? Well, if you can cover, number one, if you can cover your own salary and sales.
Yep.
Can you bring in another 25% of revenue to the company? I'd love to be able to reward that kind of activity.
Sure, absolutely.
So that's the big question. All right, a lot of great questions on that one. As I said, if you've got questions about it, then go to GuamTraining.com on the World Wide Web. Might be a little bit busy here this morning because now Jerry's thinking about getting that sweet government GPA contract.
I'm going to have to give them a call and say, what's this all about?
I'll give you a phone number if you want when I'm done talking with her in a second. It's 7:30 in the morning, and about time to jump into headlines at the bottom of the hour, being brought to you by Al and the guys over at GPSI. They're a registered contractor with the federal government, and you're going, And what's that got to do with me? Call him up. If you run a business on Guam, call him up and find out if he can talk you through some partnering initiatives and things like that, working with him and these other companies that are servicing the federal government. 730 News also brought to you by Auntie Loli Kamet at Remax Diamond Realty for all your real estate needs, or maybe just a question, why does Ray Gibson refer to you as Auntie Lolita Kamet? 688-6743. That's 688-6743. Now, reading news from the Guam Daily Post, here's Montecillo Tyrant.
Filling the hot seat in an oversight hearing tonight will be the Department of Corrections Director Sam Brennan. That hearing called by Vice Speaker Senator Talena Nelson, who wants to get the lowdown on the bunch of problems faced by the prison, in particular the wrongful release of inmates. The hearing will begin at 6 in the public hearing room. It's expected to last until about 8 p.m. Local company Cortec International has been awarded the $27 million contract to build a third trash cell down at Ledzon landfill. The project is for the third trash cell, and they expect it will be completed by August 2021. The funds to build the third cell come from the proceeds of the $30 million bond GovGuam secured earlier this year. A 15-year-old boy apparently suffered serious injuries from a fall he received yesterday off of the Jonestown Cliff in Tamuning. Guam fire rescuers pulled the teen from the rough waters below and transported him to GMH. It's unclear how the boy fell. Meanwhile, the condition of a man electrocuted while picking lemai is unknown this morning. The Guam Police Department said the man was rushed to Naval Hospital after he came in contact with a live power line. GPD spokesman Paul Tapau said the incident occurred around 6 p.m. in Mongmong. Guam Fire Department medics were also on the scene. And those are your headlines from the Guam Daily Post.
Okay, it's 7:32, and let's call that iConnect time right now. Give iConnect a jingle at 888-8888 and ask them all kinds of cool questions about saving you money. They've got a new promo called the Tax Refund Promo, because there's got to be something like $40 million worth of tax refund checks that have been floating around the Tammy's post office in the last bunch of days, and they want to help you stretch that a little bit further. So you go find them and ask them about the promo. You sign up for a year, you get a month free. Heck, you get a phone free. Details? Yeah. 888-8888.
GPSI Guam is a professional services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They're an SBA, 8A, and Hub Zone certified SDVOSB, providing program/project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. Find out more about GPSI and how they can help you today. For large prime companies, contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 477-3058. They'll be happy to assist.
Lolita Kamet from Remax Diamond Realty, a friendly, hardworking, and passionate Remax professional who is committed to helping you make a difference in your life and helping you achieve the American dream of home ownership. She also specializes in commercial leasing, land sales, local residential sales leasing, military, and corporate relocation. So for all your real estate needs, call Lolita Kamet from Remax Diamond Realty at 688-6743. That's 688-6743.
Boy, haters gonna hate, huh? I got this interesting article that Ash sent me about the meatless meat becoming mainstream, and it's sparking a backlash. Remind me to get to that story before too much longer, because I've actually had one of these Impossible Whoppers from Burger King, and I liked it. I thought it tasted just like meat. So where are we? Take a look at the traffic gizmos. A little bit busier here this morning. Yes. All of northern Guam is in a standstill. Most of Route 3 isn't moving. I got chunks of Dededo over by Sangsong and Ipao that's just slow coming into the major Dededo area. A little bit of stop and go once you get past that. Then it's Marine Corps Drive. Intersection traffic's going to slow you down. In fact, intersection traffic looks like the majority of the slowing down just about everywhere here. 8, 10, and 16, not super busy yet, but it's getting there. 10 and 15 also running a little bit busy this morning. And once you get on to Route 4, expect some stop-and-go traffic, usually at the intersections, and you know which ones are going to start getting busy, right? At 34, that's a quick look at traffic. One last couple of notes here. See a little bit of traffic heading into Navy Hospital and Guam High region, and traffic beginning to slow down a little bit more over at Big Navy and Suma. I think that's just about everything. Right now, traffic here on The Point.
Rain. It's nature's way of cleansing the earth. Yet by the time that rainwater makes its way to your home, it may not be exactly the same as nature created it. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve the quality of the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home, so you can be sure your water is clear, clean, and fresh, just as nature intended it to be. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech, a passion for improving lives through better water. Oh, is that what's going on? Maybe that's why the traffic is moving slower than usual up in Dededo and up and down Route 3. Somebody says it's doing medium kind of rain up there. Okay, I think I understand that that particular definition. 7:36 in the morning. Let's take a quick look at who's playing around on the Facebook Live, just because it's been a little bit since I have seen. John Wigston is there. Sabine Chargaloff is online. Anthony Mendiola, Ryan Hawaiian, Vicky Ganashis Borja is there. Casper Connie Ferdiger Dutkowitz is playing around on the Facebooks. Always nice to see you there. Helen Camacho Sikat is online. Says, good morning, Ray, Mana, and Guam. Just tuning in. Well, I'm glad that you found us this morning. Sylvan Tadella is there. Flo Cruz. I see Felix Regis online. And yeah, this is just like that thing from, what was the name of the TV show when you were growing up? The Magic Mirror, where the woman would look into the mirror and say, hi, Marianne. Hi, David. And you'd think she was talking to you, but those are just the random names.
Is it like Romper Room or something?
Something like that. Angie Antonio Yagi is there. Joy Unpinko, that's Jump Up and Down with Joy. Nate Horn. David Evans, don't blame it on the cha-cha-cha. Dave, you give away all your CDs yet? You had some kind of promotion going on over at American Music where you get just a handful of these the Don't Blame It on the Cha-Cha-Cha CDs that he came out with all of those years ago. My buddy, General Marcus Reynolds. He's not really a general in the Marine Corps, but he's a nice guy, and I think he should be. Nice to see you there. James Martinez is there. Nice to see you, cuz. Gina Kono's online. Paris Mendiola Blas, who was wondering out loud where Mana was, and then she did a newscast, so now we know. Chris Chip is there. Nice to see you. Joe Cepeda, Brett Evan. Brian Ortiz online with a message. I heart you, LHP. You know, I like Li Hing pineapples as well. Something special about that flavor. You get the little pineapples and you pour the Li Hing powder on it.
I like Li Hing anything.
Li Hing anything works.
Yes.
There should be Li Hing vape. I think there might actually be a Li Hing vape.
They even have Li Hing margaritas.
This is how you know we're related. My buddy Charlie Hermosa's online. Joe Cruz, Lady D, Cousin Teddy from up at the ranch. Al Bautista, what's that, Al? Said keep an eye out for your package.
By the way, there is a Li Hing vape.
Let's see what else is going on here. I got 7:38 in the morning. I see you, B. I see you. I'm just messing around, having some fun, as you know. 7:38 in the morning. And is this Tree? Is this Tracy? Is that who we found? I'm hoping it is, because that's where I was wanting to reach out. I was making jokes, a couple of them about GPA. They're going to be going through looks like a customer strategy initiative over at the power company. And as I said, years ago, used to be one of those, we don't care how you feel about doing business with us because we're the only power company on Guam. But it is all about the customer these days, isn't it?
It is, Ray. Half a day. Good morning. And hi, Mana. It's so awesome to hear you.
Hi, Tracy. Good morning.
This is like a family affair thing going on here. Where's your husband? What's he been up to?
He's taking the kids to school, Ray, because you're calling me.
Ah, there we go. Ah, that's that's neat. I should call you every morning, get you out of the traffic duty.
No, he's really good about doing that.
Sweet. So anyway, so tell me more about this. Tell me, because it's for Jerry Roberts. I gave the notice that you guys published in the newspaper to him. So yeah, he might be interested in doing something. Is this customer service training? Are you looking for new software? Are you looking for new hardware? A new set of soft skills, maybe for your CSRs to be dealing with customers?
You know, Ray, it's a little bit of all of the above. I think everything starts with the strategy. And in order to plan for strategy, we really need to get customer input. So we need to reconnect with our customers, and we need to ask our customers, who are you and I, we're both ratepayers, what's important to you? You know, so this is customer service transformation and strategic services that we're looking for is all of the above. What matters to you? How do you do business? How would you like us to communicate with you? How can we help you in any way we can that's related to our mission? Mm-hmm. And then from there, we take all of those points and we want to lay it out into a strategic plan so that we can give the customers, like, again, like you and I, exactly what they want.
Well, that's a moving target because some customers might just want a faster customer service experience when they have to be in front of somebody. Some customers will just want to be able to talk to somebody on the phone a little bit easier. Some people might not want to talk to anybody. And is this something I can do online via an app on my phone? So I think it really does require some of the development of the tactics that will achieve your overall strategy.
No, absolutely. And I love that you mentioned all of those examples because we have initiatives right now to cover all of those examples. So the question to me is, how much what is the priority? And so that's what we're looking at. For example, you mentioned the computer, the internet. Gosh, I feel so old right now. So computer internet, we have a chat bot that we're going to release soon. We just went through a storm, and thankfully it did not hit us, and it didn't do a lot of damage to Saipan either. But what about reporting outages or finding out what's going on with your outage if you have an outage? Can you get a notification on your smartphone? What about wanting to call in or have someone from GPA contact you? So all of those initiatives are there, and this is very, very important to GPA. It's very important to be always in contact with the customer to understand what our ratepayers want and how they want to communicate with us and how they want us to communicate with them. What type of information would you like from us?
Well, I tell you, I know exactly what I'd like. What I'd like to see right now, and I don't know what the impediment would be to being able to put it online or even in an app form, because I'm sure there's an API for it, and computer coders will know what I'm talking about when I say API. But it would be great if there was the same way that I've got a traffic gizmo and I can kind of see what traffic looks like everywhere. I'd like there to be a power gizmo, because you just get curious when you're sitting around the house if the lights go off for a couple of minutes. The first question is, I wonder if this is island-wide. The second question is, how long is this going to last? Or maybe I've got them switched in order, but it would be cool if there was some kind of an app that I could go to on the phone and give me a kind of a graphical representation of where there's power, where there's not.
Well, Ray, we have it already in the works. So, of course, we're going to walk, crawl, run to this. You're going to be seeing in a couple of months, we're going to launch an initiative regarding text outages. So we're going to be able to employ a two-way texting. So this is going to allow you to text us and us to text you when there's an outage. And it's not going to be for everywhere around the island. Mm-hmm. So if you live in Barrigada, for example, we're going to text you about Barrigada outages that affect you. So if you don't want to hear anything about my outages in Tamuning, you won't. However, after we look at this program and we feel it and make sure it's working right, the next steps are putting it online and then being able to communicate directly with your smartphone as well.
I think the chat bot is cool, Mana.
Well, I have that program. However, GWA got me on their text listing. I get all of their updates. In fact, that's how we got the information on the Toto Cañada outage just yesterday. So, yeah, that's a really great program.
It really is. It really is. And so we're really trying to put the value into it. So other than just the outage itself, what other information are you looking for? And this is the crux of getting in touch with our customer. And Ray, you said it. Don't tell me that I have an outage. I know that already. When is it coming on?
Yeah.
When is my power going to be restored, or how serious is this? Is it a downline, which takes a little bit, or is it just a minor fault and we're going to get you back on?
Right. Is this one that should I sit around and wait for it for a couple more minutes, or is this going to be a while? Should I go and check out Carabao?
There you go. Well, the answer is always Carabao.
There you yeah, or depending on if you're in the Tumont area, go to Tap House or any number of other places where you might be able to get a cold refreshment and wait it out. 744 Tree, it's always great talking with you, and I'm glad I could get you out of Carline for at least one morning.
Okay, you guys take care.
I will.
Have a great day.
We'll all get together sometime soon, see what's going on, and shoot the breeze and find out when your husband's going to start delivering fresh eggs.
Never mind, my husband, bring Mana.
Smart. Okay, gotcha. It's 7:44 in the morning. You feel the direction of the program beginning to change around. I like it. So a couple of things that are in the table of first. See, this is the problem, and I tried to explain it to Mana yesterday. Is there's so much technology here in the room. We can see what's happening with the national and international news. I got a screen that's in front of me that's showing everything on the Fox News website. I've got all of the technology associated with the radio station, and then there's all of the incoming stuff. There are all these incoming streams. My own WhatsApp, the radio station's WhatsApp, and here it seems is something that we are going to be able to celebrate. Apparently, you can now get fresh pumpkin pies at McDonald's. It's that time of year, and McDonald's people are pushing pumpkin pies out. And I don't know. It seems to me I like pumpkin pies, but is it better than the Bootsy that you can get over at Sodi?
Well, yeah, because it's from McDonald's.
We should be able to. Let's compare and compare.
And then you get an ice cream, and then you put it together.
Somebody needs to do this for us. I'm too lazy to do it myself. I'd normally ask Mana to do it, but, well, she's here now. So somebody go and get the Bootsy from Sodi and get McDonald's pumpkin pie and some vanilla ice cream and bring it by the radio station. We'll have a taste little comparison and see which one is better. Local homegrown stuffers are going to be from there. All right. One of the other things that is of interest to me is the changing landscape that we've got here. We've got obviously a new governor of Guam, Governor Lulian Guerrero, and I'm from time to time am kind of amused at the way that she just takes words and decides whether she likes them or not. The CDC last week, 2 weeks ago, came out and told everybody in the world that there was a dengue outbreak on Guam. And Governor Lulian Guerrero came out and said, no, it's not an outbreak. There are cases here, but this is not an outbreak. Well, yeah, the CDC said it was an outbreak, but she didn't. There's also people that are running around going, hearing from Lester Carlson that there is a surplus. There's a surplus of dollars here. Nestor Lecanto writes, the final number isn't in yet, but the governor confirms that the tracking shows GovGuam did collect more revenue than projected. But any senators who may be looking to spend those funds must be forewarned. The governor says there is no extra money. She said, we don't really have a surplus. We don't really have an outbreak. We've got cases. It's not really a surplus. We've got more money coming in than we projected in the financial terms of surplus. And remember, she worked at a bank. So she would know about financial terms because a surplus occurs when you don't have a deficit and you have more revenues, and that's certainly not our case. I came into this administration with an $89 million deficit, and what I would like to do is to retire that deficit and pay down our debt. So, senators, don't call it a surplus. As the other way of looking at it is basically she's saying to the senators of the 35th Guam legislature, if there's any extra money floating around in the government of Guam, it's mine. This belongs to the administration. This does not belong to the legislature. You already had your shot at putting a budget together from 2019 that would achieve all of your goals and dreams and desires. And if there was extra money coming in on that, well, that gravy goes to the administration, goes to the executive branch. So there. We don't have an outbreak, and there is no surplus. And I suppose that would probably apply, likewise, to whatever it is that John Fernandez wants over at the Department of Education. Likewise, would probably also apply to what they need over at Guam Memorial Hospital. If there is something that feels like a surplus, well, to what degree is the deficit hurting us, the deficit spend? This is the government of Guam. It's been deficit spending for generations.
And don't forget what's owed to folks waiting for their tax refunds.
Tax refunds. There might still be a few of those out there. Thank God there was Section 30 money coming in to take care of all that. So I don't know. I mean, to the degree that it might be wise to pay down the deficit, maybe there are a few other things that can be done with $27 million that might actually make a difference. And I am still here all of these months into this new administration, and I see people thinking about going to FESPAC, and I see people, getting on airplanes and flying around, and we've got the governor's liaison office in Washington, D.C. I don't know how that helps the man on the street or the woman on the street, but we need to see more of those kinds of things happening. Improvements in the Department of Education, improvements at Guam Memorial Hospital. You've got the telephone number. Don't be shy about using it. 888-825-5888-TALK. And this weekend, the weather has been uncooperative in so many different places. I was supposed to be watching Mayumi play one of her last games in the JV volleyball thing last night, but because of the weather, everything was canceled yesterday. All the schools were closed. All the extracurricular activities were closed. And now come to find out that the additional rain that has fallen here in the last month or so is making things tricky for something that we've been promoting in the last couple of weeks, and that is the Nissan's desire to create a new world record, the longest parade of Nissans, looking for 251 cars. That was supposed to be this weekend, right, Cause?
Today, Ray.
Dude.
What a rainy day we're having.
Oh yeah. Well, it's that time of year, and it gets to be rainy season, whatever the typhoon season, and people start trying to determine, well, do we want to have outside events or do we want to have inside events? My nephew RD for years, we tried to get outside birthday parties going, get to the swimming pool and stuff like that, and after a few years, you just realize he's never ever going to have a dry birthday in September. So let's go inside from now on.
That's where I met Artie many years ago in the bars of House of Brutus. Those were parties.
That's how you know we're related. Okay.
But yeah, this rain isn't helping. But that's just the way it goes with Guam, right? You just gotta just try to put a date on the calendar and go for it. And sometimes it doesn't work. And because of the rain, we're going to reschedule our event to November 3rd, give everybody time to, we weren't sure if the storm was going to really hit or turn around or a new one come behind it. So we wanted to give plenty of time to, in case something bad happened. Luckily, nothing terrible happened to any of the Marianas Islands. So we're grateful about that. But, we're going to reschedule it. Due to field conditions being probably going to be really muddy if we park our cars, over 250 cars in a grass field isn't going to produce very good results.
Right. Yeah. So you take a car onto a field, a couple of thousand pounds worth of car, park it on grass that has been wet and soggy for days and days and days, and that's not good for the car. It ain't good for the grass. So we wait until things dry off a little bit.
That's right, and the soccer guys won't be very happy with us. So,
but it's the soccer guys. How much more land do the soccer guys need?
I know, right? They're taking over the island, but hey, God bless them. But we also decided to move the location because the next time around, we said, okay, well, it's going to rain, so let's find a new spot. We like Adelup for its vista, but Paseo Park isn't too bad either, so we're going to move it down there. They've got a lot of asphalt, a lot of concrete parking areas, so we're going to move it down there, and it's going to be November 3rd. So it's going to give more people a chance to do it. I know we're going to have some people fall out because of the schedule change, but that just means more opportunity for other folks to be part of the parade.
Yeah, well, my understanding, you guys were doing really, really well on signups.
Yeah, we were tracking really well, and I think we would have, nothing like this is easy. So we don't want to say that it was an easy process, but because people have lives to live. But
well, if it was easy to break records, then we'd be shooting at 1,000 Nissans, Infinities, and Datsun. So I'll be happy with what we've got. Well, I'll tell you what, you need to get the guys back in the studio to talk more about it. Then come and find me. All right?
Yeah, I'll be back on your studio, and we'll talk about the great prizes we've got lined up because I haven't really spoken about that much.
It's cool. All right, buddy. I'm going to run. I'll talk to you pretty soon.
All right, stay dry. Bye.
Yep. Good luck, Godspeed. The amazing Cause Endo out there, 888-8255 at 753, talking about outbreaks. We don't have outbreaks. Surplus. No, that's not a surplus. That's my money. My money. If it's my money, we don't call that a surplus. We call that Governor Lou Doe. Speaking of governors, the other Governor, Leon Guerrero, is on the line. That's Ken LG. Good morning, Ken Niff.
Good morning. I just caught part of your conversation earlier about the deficits. I just wanted to point out something, that at the other end of those deficits are unfortunately a lot of small Guam businesses that are still desperately waiting for their payback. And think about all those vendors that John Fernandez committed millions of dollars to, and they got shortchanged in the allocation. And so now his vendors are waiting, and then the taxpayers end up paying for it because everybody that sells to government in Guam knows this, and they ratchet up their costs so that they can survive when until they finally get paid.
Well, if we got but if the revenues are coming in and they're coming in extra and above that, we could probably pay off some of the vendors rather than having to decide whether we want to try to take care of capex over at the Department of Education or critical needs that they've got over at Guam Memorial Hospital. If we made some reductions in the cost of operations in the government of Guam, then those revenues could be used to pay vendors and the capex projects and the maintenance issues.
Yeah, but we know that will never happen because the first 17 million of that 27 million theoretical deficit is going to be going to pay raises to all the gold-plated nose pickers.
Gold-plated nose pickers, and we'll find out exactly who those gold-plated nose pickers are because they're all going to be holding tickets to Festback.
Yeah. So what we're looking at is two things that are affecting us with this, and the one is that we're being overtaxed. And because we're being overtaxed, all the prices have been driven up. And then because the government did not reduce the cost of operations as was the entire intent and commitment behind the increase in business privilege tax, the taxpayers and residents of Guam are getting a double whammy. And now this theoretical surplus is going to be an excuse to inflate the government further because we've already seen it just between the two budgets, but we're seeing it with the escalating head counts, So the fun never stops.
Well, but it's all in the nomenclature, man. It's all in how we decide that we are going to be spinning this thing up here. The governor had an opportunity to not pass the increase in business in the real property taxes for buildings and properties that were improved over $1 million. And she said, "Well, no, I have to sign this. This was the will of the legislature, the last legislature. It's not my new tax; it's their tax." I'm going, well, no, if you're the one that's signing the bill that corrects the language, then guess what? It's your tax now.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up here on the top of the hour, so I'll keep listening and I'll call in later.
Right on. Well, that's good. I've got on the line with me. I'm going to let you go and spend a couple of minutes here with Dr. Juan Rapadas, a very close, very dear personal friend of mine, and a guy that does a lot of work with young people. And Juan, good morning, first of all. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Sorry for the limited.
Minor. Well, it's a conversation we can pick up again because I'm seeing more and more of these kinds of things. I think we've got a generation of youth that are in trouble here and finding more and new ways to get in trouble. And it feels like bigger numbers. I don't know if that's social media happening, but we got kids at Teedson and John F. Kennedy High School, 13 of them so far, that have been expelled for violent behavior in the schools. There's a couple of stories in Mana's newscast where they're talking about a couple of kids went on a joyride from Zotnia, where apparently there are no more Zotnia rules. 15 and 16-year-olds that avoided, for at least a little while, captured by the police and hit a couple of cars out there. I'm worried that the kids, something's happening with the kids this generation, and they're getting in more and bigger trouble. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think my experience is it comes in waves. So there'll be times where we actually have a pretty good time where you don't hardly see anybody in youth corrections. And then there's a certain period of time in the year where you see a lot of crimes for a lot of reasons. The summertime is high, and then also a lot of kids start to get in trouble around October, November, and then they just say, well, forget it, I'm not even going to go to school because, they get a lot of mixed messages. We're not blaming the system. We're not blaming the times, but clearly, for sure, there is a generation, probably in the last few years, of kids who are not disciplined. They are not being carefully monitored. Their parents are struggling to take care of themselves, much less the teenagers.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering how much of that is the case now. You've got kids having kids, and their parents don't necessarily have the tools or the training that they need to be able to raise their children any better than the way they were raised when they were coming up. So they aren't paying a lot of attention. And I'm worried that an entire generation of our young people have been trapped in the meth trap. And they've got kids that aren't being supervised as a result. I wonder how much of that is happening.
You actually covered probably the most comprehensive. That one statement you just said covers the most comprehensive reason why kids are getting in trouble.
Crap.
So we have a lot of kids having kids. We have a lot of kids who are, like I said, not supervised. We have a lot of drugs. meth is one of those drugs, unlike any other drug, that once you try it once, it just grabs your brain.
Hook you. Yeah, it can hook you. You know what? We're just about out of time, but fingers crossed we'll be able to get together earlier, maybe tomorrow, and spend some time developing this topic, because I think it's important.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy.
We'll do something later.
All right, looking forward to it. We're KUSG Haggadah. This is The Point.
They will not comply. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The White House has sent a letter to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and top House Democrats saying it will not participate in the impeachment inquiry, calling it illegitimate and unconstitutional. As a key figure in the inquiry, U.S. Ambassador to the European Union Gordon Sondland won't voluntarily appear before House committees.
This is all pieced together from what Democratic lawmakers are saying, what his attorneys are saying. Sondland's attorney also says, quote, Ambassador Sondland is profoundly disappointed he will not be able to testify today and believes strongly that he acted at all times in the best interests of the United States, and he stands ready to answer the committee's questions fully and truthfully. He also adds that he will even testify on short notice once he is given permission. Congressional Democrats also say that Sondland recovered personal communications from his personal devices, turned that over to the State Department, and that the State Department is refusing to share that with Congress. And these lawmakers claim that violates the subpoena that they sent here.
Fox's Rich Edson at the State Department sentencing for another couple for their involvement in the college admissions cheating scandal. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Lisa Gregory and Marcia Abbott each were sentenced to 1 month in prison for paying $125,000 to better their daughter's chances of entering college. Both entered guilty pleas this past May to fraud and conspiracy. Each also will be monitored for a year after their release, pay a $45,000 fine, and must perform community service. The Abbott's daughter planned to attend Duke University in North Carolina. They made the payments to alter her SAT and ACT scores without her knowledge. The Abbotts are the 6th and 7th parents to be sentenced in the wide-ranging scandal, Lisa.
Thanks, Gernal. Wall Street, the Dow lost 313, the Nasdaq off 132, the S&P fell 45. America is listening to Fox News.
30 years ago, the very first Subway restaurant opened in Guam. Now, 15 restaurants later, Subway Restaurants is celebrating this milestone with a buy one, get one free offer every weekend, starting September 14th through October 12th. Come celebrate 30 years. Enjoy your favorite sandwich, salad, or wrap, all made with freshly sliced veggies and bread baked in every store. Take advantage of this buy one, get one deal. It's Subway Restaurants' way of saying thank you, Guam, for 30 wonderful years. Subway, make it what you want.
Hulu is all your TV in one place, plus more. Watch thousands of hit shows, movies, and award-winning Hulu originals for only $5.99 per month. It's TV without the cable contract and the freedom of on-demand streaming. Get current network shows from ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, and binge-watch every season of your favorite cable shows. Premium Hulu viewing is brought to you by Proline Automotive and AB Sports, Guam's store for Nike. To advertise on Hulu, call Choice Digital at 989-0042.
California's governor signing a new law that caps rents statewide.
The new rent control law caps rent at 5% plus inflation and applies to rent increases implemented after March 15th of this year. The new law also says landlords cannot evict a tenant for no reason. In other words, just so they can raise the rent. It has a big impact. 17 million people are renters in California, according to a legislative analysis of the bill. But many would not be impacted by this because there are quite a few exceptions. This new law does not apply to people renting most single-family homes or buildings currently under rent control ordinances, and does not apply to buildings built within the last 15 years. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
The Northern California utility Pacific Gas and Electric says it will shut off power to more than 800,000 customers in 34 counties to reduce the risk of wildfire. The Republican-controlled Wisconsin Assembly expected to vote Thursday on a measure that would allow a disabled Democratic lawmaker to phone into committee meetings he can't attend in person.
Wisconsin State Rep Jimmy Anderson threatened to sue in January, alleging violations of the Americans with Disabilities Act over rules that barred Anderson from attending committee meetings from home. We're told Republicans have proposed rule changes that would allow any lawmaker with a permanent disability to call into hearings or sessions where votes are taken. The vote expected this Thursday. Another rule change would also allow committees to set time limits for debate to ward against long session days that could go overnight. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Oprah Winfrey announcing she's giving $13 million to increase a scholarship endowment at a historically black college. She made the announcement at Morehouse College, adding to the $12 million that she gave to the all-male school back in 1989. I'm Lee Silasera, and this is Fox News.
Want 10% off your next flight to the U.S.? Now through October 31, receive 10% off select United Airlines flights to the U.S. when you purchase your ticket with your United credit card or United Mileage Plus credit card from First Hawaiian Bank. Use promo code FHB019 when booking your flight. With a travel sale like this, you could wake up to a different sunrise in any part of the U.S. Visit FHB.com/United Fair Sale 19 to learn more. Terms and conditions and restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC.
Academy of Our Lady of Guam presents the first annual President's Cup, Saturday, October 12th at the Talafofo Onward Golf Resort. Showtime 11 a.m., go time at noon. Sing a hole-in-one and win either a 2020 Kia Sportage LX from Triple J Auto Group, $5,000 in cash, a car from Guam Auto Spot, or $10,000 in cash. Plus a ton of great raffle prizes, including a ticket to Japan or the Philippines. Register today at Goodie Sporting Goods, Eventbrite.com, or at the Academy of Our Lady of Guam. Visit aolg.edu.gu for more information.
The current world record for longest motorcade of Nissan cars is 250, and Nissan Guam wants to smash, crash, shatter, beat that number. All Nissan owners are invited to help set a new Guinness World Record by joining our Nissan motorcade from JFK to Adelup October 13th. Any Nissan, Datsun, or Infiniti is eligible. Register at the Nissan Guam showroom and get your official motorcade bib. The first 370 entrants will get some awesome Nissan swag gear, plus a chance to win thousands in cash and prizes. Register today, and let's put Guam in the record books.
The attempt at the record has been postponed until early November. Details forthcoming here on The Point.
It is 8:06 on this Wednesday morning. Here are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Department of Corrections Director Samantha Brennan back to work after a 2-week leave of absence, and already she's going to take the hot seat in an oversight hearing tonight at the Guam Legislature. Brennan, who was attending the National Governors Association training in Washington, D.C., returned to work on Thursday, according to the governor's communications director, Janela Carrera. Her first order of business was to meet with Governor Luli on Guerrero as her agencies faced some backlash and lost its deputy director all while she was off island. The oversight hearing tonight will be at 6 p.m. in the public hearing room of the legislature. Vice Speaker Talena Nelson is expected to delve into the recent problems at the prison, to include the recent erroneous releases of some of their inmates. How exactly he fell is unclear, but a 15-year-old boy survived a 100-foot fall from the Jonestown Cliff in Tamuning yesterday. Just around noon, the teen fell into the rough sea below. The fall resulted in some serious injuries, and he was taken to GMH after being plucked from the waters by rescuers. GFD spokesman Kevin Riley told the Guam Daily Post GFD got the call about the teen who'd fallen about 12 o'clock. Rescue 2 was able to retrieve him, and he was conscious and responsive at the time. They brought him to the Hagutnya Marina by boat, and he was transported by ambulance to GMH. GFD is reminding people to avoid hazardous areas and exercise extreme caution at all times, especially so in unfavorable weather conditions. Meanwhile, the condition of an electrocuted man yesterday is not known this morning. He was electrocuted while picking breadfruit in the Mongmong area. Guam Police Department officials say that the man was rushed to Naval Hospital after coming into contact with a live power line. The incident occurred around 6 p.m. in Mongmong. Guam activists have written to Governor of Okinawa about his recent visit to Guam and comments about the Guam buildup that he made to the Japanese media. Pratehi Litetsan, Save Retidian, in a letter to Governor Denny Tamaki, wrote that his statements that the people of Guam are in favor of the relocation of the U.S. Marines to Guam are false. The group wrote that the continued presence of the U.S. Marine military on Guam, Okinawa, and Japan is an enduring injustice to all the lands and the people. The people of the Pacific no longer should be deprived of living in peace in our homelands, they wrote. We must unite for genuine security and peace. The group said in a media release yesterday that 2 community groups from Japan have reached out to the Guam group. They say they do not want the same challenges that they've experienced related to the presence of U.S. Marines in Okinawa to arise here on Guam. We'll have more local news right after this.
Half a day. Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. I'm Jade Uggan of Umatic, and this is where I start my day. Listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi itanonmo. Protect your land. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Former Guam police officer Mark Torrey Jr. has pleaded not guilty to new charges in the Superior Court. Represented by attorney Jay Arreola, the two appeared in court on the charges he now faces in connection with the 2015 shooting death of fellow Guam police officer Bert Piolo. Piolo's family watched the proceedings from inside the courtroom. Judge Michael Bordalio earlier this month granted the prosecution's request to change the charges in the indictment to negligent homicide as a third-degree felony and aggravated assault as a third-degree felony. Both charges include a special allegation of possession or use of a deadly weapon in the commission of a felony. Torrey wants the amended indictment dismissed. Torrey has also asserted his right to a speedy trial. He's scheduled to appear back in court on October 31st. A couple of teens are in custody after being picked up in connection with a car theft in Jotya on Monday morning. The duo allegedly stole the vehicle from a home and led police on a high-speed chase. According to GPD spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau, preliminary police reports say following an all-points bulletin, patrol officers spotted the vehicle in Inarahan. They attempted to conduct a traffic stop, which led them into a high-speed chase all the way through Barragata. It ended in the Harmon Industrial Park. The operator also collided with another vehicle on Route 10 in Barragata. A 15-year-old boy was arrested on suspicion of theft of a motor vehicle, eluding a police officer, and guilt established by complicity. A 16-year-old boy was also taken into custody on suspicion of theft by receiving reckless driving, eluding a police officer, resisting arrest, driving without a driver's license, and leaving the scene of a crash. Both minors are now being held at DYA. And Cortec International, they won a $27 million contract to build a third trash cell on Ladzan landfill. The award of the contract was one of the last remaining responsibilities of GBB over GovGuam's solid waste management. The contract is expected to be completed, or the construction rather, by 2021. And those are your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. For more, you can log on to their website at postguam.com.
$27 million castle for trash.
Yep.
That's what we're spending money on. $27 million to warehouse the trash.
Well, where else will we put it? So,
well,
yeah,
burn it. We'll make electricity out of the trash. It can be done. Recycle what we can, and the metals and all of this other stuff, and the rest of it put in the maw of something, build a fire under it, and make some heat, and turn that into electricity. I don't understand why we're not any closer to that today. Well, I do understand why we're not any closer to it today, but I don't understand why we let those conditions persist. 8:13 in the morning. All right, here comes the weather. Mostly cloudy. Actually, the big story, hold on a second, because there's just so much going on here today. In my mind, the big story is they're doing pumpkin pies over at McDonald's. I believe that this is a local picture. I believe this is a local shot that somebody sent of the local pie that they were able to pick up over at Mickey D's. Thankfully, there's a Mickey D's not too far away from where I live and where Mona lives, so we might be able to try some of this at some point today. ZZ Taimenglu, who is listening to the broadcast from Hawaii, says they don't have pumpkin pie there. You know what they got? Taru. There's taru pie over at the Hawaii McDonald's.
Yeah,
and
every year they do that.
Every year they do that, right? Okay, so the question is, how do we get some of that out here? Let's get some taro goodness. I'd actually eat a taro pie.
Yeah, Guam's not really, because it's all regional stuff.
Flights from Hawaii. Somebody can carry one
back.
Right, that's how you get it.
Go. Well, I don't know. I mean, how well is that going to travel? How well is a taro pie from what's the nearest McDonald's to the airport in Hawaii? And it's a figure, got to get it in there, and then it's fried, and then it's going to get cold, and we got to refry it out here. I'm just saying. Maybe we can bring the frozen stuff. We'll do it frozen, like get it frozen like they do lumpia, and we'll freeze it. We'll fry it here. 8:14. I don't know. Who do I know over at Customs that might be able to answer that question? Oh, I can't because he's deployed. So where was I? I was going to start talking about weather. Let's do this. Mostly cloudy and windy, scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms through the early afternoon. There's isolated showers tonight. South winds 20 to 30 miles an hour, decreasing 15 to 20 miles an hour. Expected highs 87 degrees. Overnight lows are about 78 degrees. Now, I got to warn you that the weather's going to be kind of tricky and confusing because, here we are talking about weather conditions and 30-mile-an-hour winds and rains and stuff like that, and you're going, hey, now's a good time to go out jogging because it's going to be rainy and cool. Sometimes it don't work out like that. I know somebody went out jogging yesterday and thought it was going to start raining and thundering on it, and it never did. Just all sweaty and gross. Sunset tonight, 6:05, sunrise tomorrow morning at 10 after. Michael Knight watching the radar and a rain band that should be washing over the island right about now.
Yep, it is. I got some pretty decent showers that just crossed over. Looks like they're leaving. Got another round back behind it, though, and that's really what we're going to look at for the rest of the morning, at least, and into the afternoon as well. And we can see a lot more off to the southeast. And, of course, as the storm continues to move off to the northwest, it will be pulling this general line of showers along with it. But it looks like it's going to take another 2 or 3 hours at least for that to happen, maybe another 6 or so. And then it looks like we may have another little bit of rainfall, a line of rainfall back behind that one, too, but it'll be less intense than this one. I would say by this afternoon, things should start looking a whole lot better. Going to satellite real quick, we'll see what I'm talking about. And we are under, well, let's see now. Where are we?
I moved it over in the last hour. Let me just I'll do a refresh on this, and then we'll reposition it so that you can see a little bit better where Guam is. But I wanted to take a look at the other side of it. My friend Sandy is watching online, and she's getting on an airplane next week, so I wanted to be able to assure her that there wasn't anything on the other side of this typhoon. But as you said, that there might actually be around the tail end of it something that could develop.
Yeah, I checked the models last hour after I mentioned it, and the models have backed off of that prediction. They do show a swirly starting up, and I think you can actually kind of see the start of that off to the east, but it's supposed to stay out there and then move up north, so it won't affect our weather in any way whatsoever. Where that big blobbage is over to the bottom right of the storm, that's where Guam is, and so we are down underneath that bit of clouds there. That's going to have to pull on through, and the clouds to the southeast as well. And then it looks like we have another rain band way back there. It's kind of odd. I've never even quite seen anything like that. It just shows the scope of this particular storm system and how far-reaching it is in the region. But there's a possibility that one may have to come through as well, although I tend to think that as the storm pulls away, you'll lose some of the support for the development of storms along that particular line, and it'll all move away with these next two. But again, we're going to go through this for about another few hours, and then things should straighten out here as we get into this evening, and certainly by tomorrow.
Okay, 8:17 in the morning. Now, another question having to do with a little bit of the technology and the way of the storm here. This storm is going to be, or whatever the cloud mass of it. We've got a super typhoon that started here. We got a pretty good idea of where it's going to be headed in the next couple of days as it makes its way over the Japanese home islands. Will it curve north and then east again and join a jet stream? Will remnants of this storm find its way in some of the weather patterns in the States?
Yeah, they all do. They all do. And
okay.
so that's just part of the natural process of Mother Nature and weather. And it takes this warm, moist air and then sends it up to the north to try to balance things, because regardless of what some people say, nature will try to find a balance, and that's how she does it. She moves cold air down to the southern latitudes and this warm stuff up to the northern ones and mixes it all up. So, yeah, this storm will get caught up in a pretty robust jet stream north of Japan and get shuttled on over to Alaska and those places.
All right, groovy. That's what I thought was going to be happening. It's 8:18 in the morning, and that is the news and weather together here on The Point. It's a one-of-a-kind wine fundraiser. Guahan Sustainable Culture presents Wine in the Garden. The Hamamoto Gardens help support food sovereignty, security, and sustainability while sipping wines from around the world, surrounded by 50-some acres of beautiful farm and garden. Tickets are $75 each. Proceeds support education and outreach on how important, easy, and fun sustainable practices can be. Wine in the Garden is on Saturday evening, October 26th, starting at 5. For more details, go to our website, gusustainable.org, or call 687-6491. Portions of the Ray Gibson Show being brought to you by APL. That's American President Lines, a global presence with a local home. And big shouts to the team over at Take Care Insurance. They just got so much going on. And, just yesterday, could have done an hour with these guys. They've got the comedian that is going to be coming in, rain or shine. In fact, the comedian, the comedy doctor, is going to be in this program either 8:30 or 9 o'clock on Monday. So go watch him at their seminar, at their big convention, and then get ready to have some laughs with me on the radio Monday morning. Subway restaurant celebrating 30 years of eating fresh to show their appreciation. Subway offering buy one, get one free events happening every Saturday. And so this Saturday's events are going to take place at Tumon, the Agana Shopping Center, and GPO. Expect lines because everybody knows what a great value a Subway sandwich is, and it's even better if you can get two for the price of one. So check them out today. Would you? Portions of the program also brought to you by American Medical Clinic, your partner in healthcare. Their number 647-8262.
Rediscover talk radio here. Your FM News Talk Superstation. This is The Point.
8 o'clock in the morning, Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. My name is Ray. Got baby sister Mona Silva over here, but she's not in the football pick'em, so she's just going to sit back and wait patiently. Probably not. But anyway, she's over there because we do a thing here called the football pick'ems.
I hear.
You've been paying attention?
Yes.
Okay. And so we're down to the one last game yesterday. Niners for the W, boys.
Yeah.
Ferga, yes.
Yes, big. What, 32-3?
31.
31-3?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough one for Cleveland Browns fans, I guess.
Yeah, it was. It was for me. I was hoping they would win.
Yeah, look at it. There's somebody here in the room picked
What's sad
Cleveland.
is I actually thought Cleveland had a chance in that game, and they were clearly outmatched. And so, yeah.
But you had some interesting observations about this. I mean, this morning we were talking about some of the assumptions that have proven now wrong as we make our way into week number 6 of the NFL season here. And one of them is the Bills, as it turns out, aren't a bad team.
Yeah, and they actually are number 10 in the power rankings right now in the NFL. So the NFL's taking a notice as well. So power rankings don't really mean much other than you've looked good up until now.
I guarantee the Bills will win this weekend.
Yeah.
You know why? They have the bye. So they're not playing at all.
Oh.
Yeah, so they're off. So we can't pick the Bills.
All right, well,
they're going to remain 4-1 until next week.
Okay, after I got smacked last week and I'm feeling good, I got double digits here. I got 11 for
You jumped
week
me and
number
Mike
5.
in the standings. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
You
I did.
Yeah, congratulations. You and not just by a little bit. Like you're top 10, I want to say. You're number 6. Yeah, you are currently on the leaderboard. You are number 6. Mike,
I'll be darned.
Mike is 16. I'm 18.
I don't know anything about football.
Here's how bad my fantasy football experience is going. I scored 155 points in this last week of fantasy football. I lost.
Yeah.
You don't score 155 points and lose, but this
the
dude, he
thing
scored
is,
168.
with fantasy, I don't care who I talk to. It doesn't matter who I talk to. Even if I talk to 4 guys in the same league, they're all doing terrible.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So is it nobody in fantasy football anywhere? Because even my friends back in the States they've had the same fantasy football league since we were in high school. So like 15 years running, right? And even all those guys, I'll talk to 3 or 4 of them, and none of them are doing well. So I'm like, so somebody's got to be winning, but I guess it's just a weird.
Mingo Ree is winning.
It's a weird, but even then, have you seen his last few picks?
I have not.
This past week, he did not fare, and I say not well. He got 10, but
he got 10, yeah.
But that's not good for him.
That's not Mingo standards.
Yeah. So
Mingo standards are like 13, 14.
And you know what? Just to make everybody feel better, he also didn't think that the Colts could beat the Chiefs.
There we go.
So
I don't think anybody actually thought it would
He
happen.
also didn't think the Raiders were going to beat the Bears.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, a lot of people missed on those.
Yeah, fantasy is like that. Dave Torrey says fantasy football is Dungeons and Dragons for jocks.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
why I don't. I mean, it's not that I don't do it. I don't do it because I live here on Guam and I don't always pay attention. And if people, like I said, if people are hurt or on the bye, and you don't pay attention to your lineup, it can be catastrophic.
Sandra De Leon Guerrero says 18 points for Manning.
Who?
Manning.
Who's Manning?
I'm just reading what she said. I'm not trying to infer anything. I think she's.
Okay, yeah, that used to be Peyton's number.
Oh, okay, all right.
So that's just
This is 18 points. Did he score?
He doesn't play.
He's been retired for like 3 years.
Well, why is she bringing him up?
And Eli and his brother Eli, who still plays, hasn't played in 2 weeks because he got benched.
Yeah, got benched.
So that's why I was wondering why she was bringing. Was there another Manning that we don't know about?
Sandra, did you smoke? Are you drinking already? I mean, what time is it there? Cos Endo's online says, "Go Raiders, go Dodgers."
Right on.
Dodgers?
Yeah, they're
You
in the
see that
playoffs. Yeah, they're in the. I believe now they went.
Did you
they,
see
they advanced to the championship.
It's baseball playoffs right now. Did you see that Did you see that Oakland may be losing another team to Vegas?
Really?
Yeah. Just because we deviated a little bit the Oakland mayor. Just real quick, I'll read this little blurb. The Oakland mayor says MLB commissioner warned City, meaning Oakland, that the swinging Athletics could move to Las Vegas. I guess they have they warned city officials that the Athletics could relocate to Vegas if the city didn't drop its lawsuit to stop Alameda County from selling its share of the Coliseum to the team. So I guess there's some city politics along with some internal organization politics. So either way, just a fun fact. But yes, Ray, there are baseball playoffs this morning. If you want to watch it, first pitch between the Houston Astros and the Tampa Bay Rays will fly at 9:07 a.m. on FS1 locally.
I don't need any help sleeping. It's
At
okay.
9 in the morning?
At 9 in the morning. I just go right back to sleep, no problem. Team USA, and a story in the back page and on page 31 of today's Guam's Daily Post of Bubba Nichols.
Your girl, Bubba Nichols.
She's not my girl.
Well, I mean, friend of the show is what I mean.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. The Points Own. The Points Own, Maddie Bubba Nichols, makes the USA national team. She's going to be in Tokyo here next summer, the 2020 Olympics, after earning a spot. I guess she earned a spot over this past weekend. There were some U.S. Olympic trials. And she did well enough to make the team. She entered her senior year at UCLA and is part of the defending national champion Bruins. Also got a big contribution. I think she got a ground rule double in the championship game to help her UCLA Bruins.
So maybe
win.
she'll swing by here on the way to Tokyo. And I know it's me and a bunch of friends that can't hear the word Tokyo without adding this into it. Oh no, there goes Tokyo. Go Godzilla. 8:26 in the morning. And speaking of go, now that week number 5 is over, we've got to determine who the actual winner is for week number 5 and dole out some fantastic sweet Red Lobster prize goodness.
Yeah, as we went into yesterday's game, we had 5 people tied at 11, and only one of those 5 got the right pick, and that's Showguam. Showguam wins this week with 12 correct picks on the week. They picked Chicago to win. They somehow picked Baltimore to win. They picked all the picks that really nobody else did. So it's kind of interesting to see how their pick distribution went. But they are the winners of this week. I will contact them by email on the email that they left on Yahoo. And then if I don't get a hold of them by then, we'll try to put a call out here on the radio. But they do get a wonderful gift certificate, a $10 gift certificate from Red Lobster.
Nice.
To you, Ray.
Thanks very much. A piece of news here. Cam Newton won't be going to London with the Panthers. You can find this story in the PFT Pro Football Talk. Apparently was made practice on Tuesday, but he won't be making any appearances in London when they go to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this weekend.
That is going to be a fun game. I don't think Cam Newton's going to play for the Carolina Panthers ever again. But that's just my hot sports opinion.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
They've won 3 games without him. They lost 2 games with him.
Here's what happens a lot of times when you have a.
I see what you're saying.
I mean, the facts are the facts, right?
And there's been a changing of the mentality with the team, and this happens quite often when you have this one superstar on a team of nobodies. They all stop trying and just leave it to the superstar to try to do it all. And then when he gets benched or gets off the team, suddenly they realize, oh, God, we got to play. And then they somehow gel better as a team without this big dude playing in the game.
He also, I think, is suffering from the same thing that happened to Peyton. Cam had his second shoulder surgery going into this season. Yeah. He had it in the offseason, so it's been months. But if you watched, and I watched his first couple of games and then the highlights, he had no zip. I mean, it's not that he's just hurt or, that they're just doing better without him. It's also that he's not the same Cam Newton that he was 15-1 going to the Super Bowl to play the Broncos 3-4 years ago. So I don't know if he probably still has it in his legs to run, but I don't know if he can make the throws. I don't know if he can throw on the run. He's getting a little older.
Certainly not this season. I mean, maybe rehab this season.
And again, who knows? Sometimes a change of scenery can reinvigorate a player as well because he's been there his whole career. So, we'll see.
8:28 in the morning. A couple of other notes here. No 5Ks that I'm aware of right now, but a notice that came out from the Kick the Fat 20 people inviting you to to once again kick it up for the Payless Community Foundation's Kick the Fat 5K, 10K run walk. Now, that's 10K that I came in second place in my division last year. Is that right? Yes. It is race day on January 25th at Paseo. Fireworks at the start and a family fun community fair at the end of the race. 5K finishers getting Run Guam dry fit shirts. 10K finishers receive singlets that are pretty. Early bird registration opened on Monday. Register online today at paylessfoundation.com to secure your spot at the start line. A big Kick the Fat 5K, 10K, and the process will begin. It's certainly one of Guam's largest road races that take place, and there's lots and lots of people. I got Japanese guys that come out and use
one of
this
the most
as
attended
a training
right?
race.
That's what. Yeah.
Well, that's one of the reasons why they
like
it used to be just a 5K,
right?
And because it became overwhelming to do the timing for the numbers of people that they were talking about. They kind of cut it in two and said, okay, we'll do a 5K and we'll do a 10K and see what happens there. So 5K route, the usual one around Agana, and then the 10K, if my recollection is correct, is the one where we run all the way down to Camp Assen and then back, which it's a stretch. It's a way to stretch your legs, but it feels really good. It's a fast course when you stop and think about it. So you got that going on. You got Halloween coming up for the kids. Are you dressing them up? They're still kind of young.
Well, no, yes, but my daughter loves to play dress up anyway. So we were
like your dad.
Yeah, we were we were a little smart. We actually were a little ahead of the curve. So I want to say beginning of September, about maybe the first quarter of September, we ventured on over into the costume shop and bought 2 costumes. So she has a Princess Jasmine and a skeleton costume that she just wears around the house now.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's
wearing it around the house now.
Yeah, so she's been wearing costumes.
So at some point in the night, she's going to morph into the skeleton.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So, and she, depending on what she's watching on YouTube or TV, if she's watching Aladdin, obviously she wants to wear her Jasmine costume. And if I got a funny story about that too. And if she's watching a skeleton, she wants to dress in her skeleton costume. But I felt so bad. She was so sick, and she had fever last week, and she was really, really ill. And she was eating Skyflakes, and she was standing in the living room in her Jasmine outfit. And she's 3, so she doesn't really understand body control. And, if I'm going to vomit, maybe I should try to run to somewhere, not just stand where I am.
Stand there and let it out.
So she did just stand there and let it out. And there's something that, even though it was kind of gross, there's something cute about watching little 3-year-old Princess Jasmine just vomit profusely on the floor in the middle of the living room.
Well, at least it was Skyflakes. It's not like there's a whole lot of stuff everywhere.
There wasn't much, yeah.
Could have been something grosser. Candy corn. Candy corn has been named the least favorite Halloween candy.
I like candy corn.
Do you?
CandyStore.com surveyed 40,000 of their customers. While there were plenty of contenders for the people's least favorite Halloween treat, candy corn beat them all out, including last year's winner, Circus Peanuts, which slipped to the number 2 spot. But candy corn is the least favorite. That's
like straight up
I'd throw
sugar.
it away.
No,
you
it
can
is.
make teeth out of it. Like
I hate.
chicken.
Yeah, you can. I hate those little cheap, those little peanut butter gobs in the brown or in the black and orange wax paper. Have you ever seen those too?
Yeah.
You know what's a thing about candy corn that I saw, and this is heresy to me. My favorite candy, one of my favorite candies, is Pez.
Right.
I like Pez.
So for Halloween, I don't know when they started doing this, but again, the 3-year-old brought home a Pez dispenser with Halloween-themed Pez-flavored candies. Candy corn flavored Pez.
No, that's like booger-flavored Jelly Bellies.
It tasted like syrup. Like really, really rich flavor.
Yeah, candy
but you
corn
may like it.
It's straight up
You may
sugar.
like it, but I'm telling you, Mana, if
But
you like
they
it.
also put on that list of candy that people don't like is honey. What do you call the
Honey bunch of
the
oat?
bit of honey?
Bit of honey.
I like bit of honey.
The ones that
yeah.
the white ones that I like those too. I like
I
those
like
too.
bit of honey. So
Couple of notes from Dave Torrey. Number 1 is showtime at 6 a.m. Go time is 7. Really, sounds kind of late for running, if you ask me. Niners are 4-0, according to Dave. First time they've been able to do that since 1990.
You know, it's so funny that
I think Dave was still in high school when that happened. It's been that long.
people complain about the Lakers fans, the Yankees fans, the Cowboys fans. The big fans that the big fandom most people don't like until their team is undefeated for the first time in 20 years. And then it's so funny because there's a few other teams that are undefeated right now that you hear, you're hearing a lot from their fans where it's like, where you guys been the last 10 years?
Don't only like me when I'm undefeated. That's nice. And Nate Orton is right up there. Says Circus Peanuts shouldn't exist, and that's all there is to it. 8:33 in the morning. Man, would you look at the time go by? That's all the time that we have to pretend to talk about sports. Blake Watson's going to go finish the morning show over on Star 101. 1, going to be playing some of today's hottest music, and then we've got and then Y2K today is the logo phrase for the radio station, and then Mana Silva is going to wrap up news from the Guam Daily Post next.
Are you ready for some football? The Ray Gibson Show has got your NFL fix every Friday on Sports with Blake. Get the latest updates as Blake and Mike break down the upcoming action. Get your game on with the boys on the hotline, 888-TALK, or sound off on Facebook Live at thepoint.gu. League members get a chance to win some awesome prizes that get you through the NFL season. The NFL Picks on the Ray Gibson Show is brought to you by Current Guam with special thanks to GTA.
Oh, yep. I don't know why. Maybe it just doesn't seem to be a whole lot of super, oh my God, interesting political gossip going on. So my mind is wandering to other stories. I was telling you, I might read you that story from that I picked up from Apple and Ashley about the backlash. Now, there's all these people in the so-called health food industry that are mad about the Impossible Whopper, the meat that goes into the Impossible Whopper. Have you had one yet?
I did, and it tastes just like meat.
Tastes like meat.
But then, I did the nutritional value, whatever.
Well, it's still
a fast food burger.
It's a fast food burger.
Very similar to. It's actually just about 50 calories less than an actual Whopper.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go for the meat. Because I know what's in the meat in it.
Well, so they're saying the same thing. Is they're making these claims. Well, everybody's just crazy about this, and at the end of it, it all depends on how you cook it. Oh my God, what's in it? And it's there's no major caloric difference between getting the Impossible Whopper or one of those meatless meat things versus anything else. And they say, well, we spent all this time. Why would we want to eat something that tastes like something that we were trying to avoid?
Well, they're just trying to capture that demographic that doesn't eat meat. They want to provide something that's tasty, and it's a burger that they will enjoy. And it was really good.
Well, and following suit, everybody else is going to be doing it. We found out the other day that McDonald's is going to be doing something like that. But the other story that's got my attention, we'll get around to headlines eventually. No movie theater in America will play Gemini Man as it was meant to be seen. Now, Gemini Man, I don't know if you've been reading up on this. It's the new Will Smith movie where he plays a younger clone version of himself.
Wow.
Yeah, and so
like we don't get enough of Will Smith,
right? But in this case, the younger version of him is like 100% CGI. Everything in there is computer generated, and when they put all of that together, they shot it at 120 frames per second, which is, that's massive. But there's no movie theaters in the United States that are equipped to play 120 frame per second films. So they took all of these extra steps to make what should be visually very, very stunning and super realistic, and nobody's going to see it the way it is supposed to be seen. They tell me the storyline is pretty good on it as well. 8:37 in the morning. Sorry we're late.
It's okay.
It's all right. Got nowhere to be?
Nope.
Mana Silva now with headlines from the Guam Daily Post here on The Point.
Well, it could be a hot hearing tonight at the legislature as the head of the Committee on Public Safety delves into the problems at the Department of Corrections. DOC feeling the heat after some inmates were wrongfully released. The department is also without a deputy after the resignation of Joey Terlahi. Director Sam Brennan is on island and is expected to be at the oversight hearing. It starts at 6 and it will last until about 8. Federal prosecutors argue that Junior Mayor Jesse M. Bloss is a danger to the community, and at the District Court of Guam should deny his request to be released from custody. The mayor says he's being held in violation of the law, but the U.S. Attorney's Office says he's a danger as he misused his elected position to allegedly assist drug traffickers. Bloss pleaded not guilty to extortion and bribery charges. A 15-year-old boy apparently suffering serious injuries this morning after a fall yesterday off of the Jonestown Cliff in Tamuning. Guam fire rescuers pulled the teen from the rough waters below and transported him to GMH. It's unclear still how the boy fell. And those are your headlines brought to you by the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, pick up a copy of the Guam Daily Post or log on to their website at postguam.com.
Good job. See you tomorrow.
I'll be back
Mana.
tomorrow.
Yeah, going to come back tomorrow and do some more news for us and hang out and see what else is making trouble. 8:38 in the morning is iConnect time. Call iConnect at 888-8888 and ask them about saving you some money. They've got a great new promo. It is the tax refund promo. The way it works, you get a year's worth of service from them, and then it's already low price on that. They'll give you a month for free, and they'll give you a phone for free. Terms and conditions apply. Find out what they are again by calling 888-8888.
Rain. It's nature's way of cleansing the earth. Yet by the time that rainwater makes its way to your home, it may not be exactly the same as nature created it. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve the quality of the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home, so you can be sure your water is clear, clean, and fresh, just as nature intended it to be. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech, a passion for improving lives through better water.
Our pal Eric Rosario, who knows a thing or two about video format, said, "Well, you could take this 120 frames per second thing and stick it in the regular video players that they've got, film players that they've got in most of the theaters. Only problem is it playback slow." Oh, just so much that you can do, and it'd probably do a whole lot of stuttering. 8:39 in the morning, portions of the Ray Gibson Show brought to you by Mesclas with specials for the month of October, including the Taiwan-style beef noodle soup. And it's just enough cutter weather left from that super typhoon. This sounds good. Beef shank and tendons. Then they simmer it for a long time in a Taiwanese-style soy-based broth, served over noodles. They got bok choys and cilantro in there, available in Hagåtña and in Tumon at the Grand Plaza Hotel. Make reservations. That's recommended. 969-2652.
Live the balanced lifestyle. Take Care Insurance offers proven wellness and fitness programs to encourage individuals and families to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle through preventative care, being active, eating right, relaxing and unwinding, and being socially connected. They have the island's largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs for all ages. Join the movement. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram or visit takecareasia.com to learn more.
Let's see what we got for traffic. Wow, what's going on Route 8, guys? I got traffic that is moving unbelievably slow in both directions. Now, you get around the subway and that area there, and I got slow traffic northbound until you get to 8, 10, and 16. And southbound traffic right after the Teadston intersection, it looks like it is struggling to make its way down. Did they turn on the intersection? Is it possible that the intersection's on? I gotta hope not. I'm glad that
I want them to remove that.
I'm glad they built it, and I hope they only use it when it's absolutely positively necessary. But I got traffic going down. You're going to be headed in that direction before too much longer. Southbound traffic all the way down to about where I want to say. Yeah, just before you get to about the old Rainbow Market, it's going to be kind of ugly through there, snotty all the way down. It looks like it. No, I'm thinking it looks like it ends over by Cars Plus and new intersection that they put in over there. Don't know what's going on. If you do me a favor, hit up Mike 888-8255. If it's an accident, I'm going to want pictures so I can send it to the Daily Post 988-5874. That's 988-5874. Everything else is just what's intersection traffic. But I want to let you know about that if you're going to be going on that stretch of roadway. It's 8:42. Be right back.
Oh, what's for breakfast at KFC under $3.95, you ask? What's for breakfast at KFC that's different than the other guys, you ask? KFC's chicken wrap, sausage wrap, the Colonel's chicken congee, chicken fried steak, sausage biscuit and gravy, and biscuit sandwiches made with KFC's original fluffy biscuits. All for under $3.95 and all only at KFC. Plus, with waffles and the Colonel's chicken fried rice, we've got something for everyone.
So visit KFC for breakfast today. It's finger-licking good.
John Ray Huggin online. I see Nick Perlowski's hanging out. Patrick Bumba is there. Smug Wimp saying, Gemini Man, isn't that a remake? Or maybe he's thinking of Omega Man or Lawnmower Man or Man. I don't know. The premise is, I don't even understand the premise. I've read bits and pieces of it, but I don't know it well enough to tell you what it's all about. And I'm trying to figure out whether I want to go to the movies, because there's a couple of interesting movies that are out there, including this Gemini Man, and then they've got another Joker. out. Have you seen that where they're talking about doing another Joker? And I'm still kind of fuzzy on this new DC Batman kind of universe that we live in. I mean I grew up in the 1960s, as I'm fond of bragging about, and Adam West was Batman. And that's the only Batman that I like. All of the other ones that they've made, and they're wearing dark clothes, and they've got breastplates and cod pieces and all of this other stuff. I look at that and I go, well, I guess that's Hollywood in this new day and age. But for me, it was Batman and the black underwear and the gray tights, and that's the way it's always been. And Joker what was the name of the guy that played Joker back in the '60s? Romero. That's him. That's the Joker. All of these other guys that they've had, they're just moody Joker guys. I suppose more evil than they were fun. Why so serious? You remember that line? Why so serious? 8:44 in the morning, and that's a big deal that is going to be played here. Before too much longer, I see Director Cho is online, and Scott Nelson, Rudy Magallanes is there, Charlene Marchessault, Kaz Endo, Sandra De Leon Guerrero, and Big Sister Shelley, and Sandy is online. Of course, Dave has chimed in a couple of times on some stuff that we have been talking about. Haven't gotten to the bottom of the table of contents yet. There's still, well, I'm having a hard time getting the view on the there. I have not yet gotten to the bottom of the table of contents yet. Most of it, as you might imagine, comes from the front page of the Guam Daily Post, and there's other stuff that has found its way into my inbox here this morning from the Post. Though interesting stories. Government, the teen that fell down from that spot out at Jonestown. I remember, it's interesting because they talk about it in the article. They talk about a set of stairs going down there as well. And I have been down those stairs. And I have been to that lookout in Jonestown on a number of occasions, daytime and nighttime. Because there's all kinds of crazy fun that you can get into there at night. But there was a time that me and my friends at the University of Guam, we'd go play hooky, and that was one of the places we'd go play hooky at. We'd go hang out there and enjoy the view, and then go climb the stairs down to the bottom. And if we weren't in typhoon condition, too, it was actually kind of pleasant down there. And if you knew your way around, you could walk around and not get into too much trouble there. Of course, this is in 1981. I don't know that I would want to go down in the current condition that I'm sure that thing is in these days. But very, very interesting story, and obviously prayers going out to the kid, and hope that he's able to survive any of the injuries that he got as a result of that fall. The question I was asking earlier, and I said, I got to find somebody that's older than me who might remember the genesis of that lookout there at Jonestown. What was that a part of back in the day? Uncle Carl T.C. Gutierrez, former governor of Guam, might have a pretty good idea on what that was all about. Was that a piece of maybe Ken Jones's property once upon a time, Gov?
That was Ken Jones's property, and I was there before those stairs were built. With Jerry and I would drive out that way before the Jonestown development really took off. So that was done right after some of the houses were built there. So it was just after my dating time. Wow, how interesting. And as I said, not the first person to have done a little bit of moonlight talking in that area. And even since then, guilty as charged, I think many boys from Guam and many girls from Guam will say about that place. A little bit dangerous right now, and maybe they ought to take a firmer stand on trying to limit access to it so that we don't have any more of these teenagers plunging 100 feet. Gosh, can you imagine the hospital bills? Absolutely. I mean, God bless that little guy that survived that. Got to be something else. What an experience. And speaking of experience, I meant to talk to you about this earlier, but everybody busy with typhoon prep and all of that. And you, hold on before we get to this, taking care of a pregnant cow named Lulu. Yeah. Well, we want to make sure that she was undercover yesterday. It was raining quite a bit, and she's okay. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks she will have another calf. Where are you keeping cows on Guam? One cow down at Ponte. I grew up having one cow, and I'm going to go out having one cow. That's nice, and that's such a great place at Fonte over by the bridge. Yes, that's correct.
One of these days, I want to go out there and just hang out with you and the other old men and listen to the stories.
And you can pick some pugwa.
And I can pick some pugwa. There we go. Because I'm out. I'm chewing leftovers. And me and Carla have the same experience with beetle net. You can reach into a pair of pants and put your hands in the pocket, and if there's beetle net that's been in there, washed 3 times, still good to eat. You can still eat it. Anyway, 8:48 in the morning. Have you gotten yet your invitation from the White House? Because you and your friend Manny Pacquiao want to go and meet the president and all of the leaders in Washington, D.C.?
Well, the way this thing came about after the media here had put out the fact that Manny Pacquiao signed off on, including Rufus Rodriguez from the House, signed off on saying that Guam should get Filipinos visa-free now. It's time. And so that came out publicly, and you know that in the Philippines, the embassy there gathers everything that has to do with Philippines and concerns the United States, and they send it off to the State Department or Department of Homeland Security. So word got back to me that will I be able to bring Manny Pacquiao if there was an invitation to the White House? And I said, well, I'm almost sure I probably could. So I reached out to the Philippines, to Manny, and we have to work out the schedule now, because you know how Manny is. He has his own jet. He flies over everywhere, and he's got his senatorial responsibilities there as well. So as soon as things kind of die down with this silly impeachment stuff and Ukrainian nonsense, maybe the White House and the Department of Homeland Security will have a little bit more time to deal with something else. Maybe not as important to the situation in D.C. now and the Trump administration.
Well, we would hope that would happen sooner than later. But you've seen the opposition on the House side, and they're moving forward with the impeachment, and think that because they've got about 24% worth of approval on surveys that were taken by I don't know, NBC and CNBC and the Wall Street Journal, that's all the impetus that they need from the voting population to move forward with all of that stuff. But I'd sure like to see if we could get some kind of closure, because it feels like we're all moving in the same direction. The Philippine Airlines, I reported this story yesterday. Philippine Airlines is adding extra capacity over the holiday seasons. GVB has issued an RFP for a tourism destination marketing representation service in the Philippines as well, to try to drive some more visitor business to Guam. And we've got you and Manny Pacquiao talking about maybe freeing things up and making it so that maybe a Guam only visa waiver could apply, and then I heard that was it Josh Tenorio, the lieutenant governor, was in Washington D.C. maybe looking to knock on some of the same doors. And Melanie from over at Gita was off doing some training on some hospitality stuff.
I think so, and I haven't seen the lieutenant governor, but I will this morning by 11 o'clock. But let me say this, that this Saturday, based on the H-2 and the visa waiver program, I met with the leadership of the Northern Marianas, the governor, the Senate president, and the acting speaker. They were all in Guam to discuss this matter, and we are putting our heads together to see how that, Governor Torres, who has a good relationship with President Trump, opened that door at the White House as well. But we also spoke of one thing, and I know United wouldn't like this one bit, but the way I see it out there with the people, they really want competition here in Guam to go to the United States, to fly there at better service and better rates. We are looking to see what we can do with particular airlines to get something passed like they did for American Samoa, to be able to get a 6-month exemption flying to Samoa. Based on going around the cabotage thing or the third country restriction.
Right.
So I know United, please don't get your people against us, because we're looking for better things for our people. You know that competition is the best thing for the community.
Well, if it drives the dollars down, and if it makes it easier for people to go from one place to another, bringing some of that hot tourist dollar into our economy, I suppose that's something that everybody ought to find a way to support. AirAsia still hasn't gotten their permission to come in, have they?
No, I don't think they were allowed. I think they were kind of not approved. I'm not sure. That's what I heard lately. But there's a way to do it, and it was just too bad that Guam and the Northern Marianas was not included in that exemption. So we're going to try to see whether we can get that exemption. I know that if they get an exemption for 6 months, it wouldn't be so difficult to put in your paperwork every 6 months.
Yeah.
Usually the exemption is for 1 month, but they managed to do a 6 month, which makes it easier to deal with submission of paperwork to get exemption to fly from the Philippines, for example, to Guam, to Honolulu. I mean, not to Honolulu, but to fly to L.A. or San Francisco, overpass Honolulu, because they don't have that. United is not giving that service now.
Yeah, well, I'd sure like to see, if we could take some more of those active steps to increase the airlift out here, number one, but make it easier for folks to be able to get on those airplane seats once they are approved.
If United starts flying from here to San Francisco nonstop, or L.A. or Las Vegas or San Diego, then we could not apply for that exemption. But if you're not using that route, they can apply for that exemption.
Then let somebody else do it.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So I guess we just got to wait out the usual Trump controversies before anybody actually extends that invitation to you and Manny.
Right. I tell you, at the Rotary, I spoke out and I said, I can't believe this. I'm so embarrassed with this National Democrats. They're absolutely nuts. I've never seen a bunch of idiots, on that side. I mean, it's to the point where they're just decimating themselves. They're eating each other alive inside that stupid.
Well, with statements like that over at Rotary, did Phil Flores pick you up and carry you on his shoulders around the room?
Yes, and did you hear him yell real loud? You're still the one. and I even got a really nice remarks from Fred Black to close it down. And that was really, really good.
Well, time heals all wounds, doesn't it? Big Sister
correct.
Shelley says, please tell CTG I still have his Trump pen. So next time you see Shelley, expect to get some new writing tools.
I have my hat, and I'm going to wear that sometime. I almost wore it in San Diego, and Ed Kamal says, don't do that. We're going to get beat up down here.
Start right if you wear a MAGA hat in San Diego or Seattle, Washington. 8:56 in the morning, and just a note, your former lieutenant governor has got some new digs in Washington, D.C. Have you been are you working with former Congresswoman and liaison Madeline Berdalio to help arrange that invitation?
I haven't seen her since the inauguration.
What?
But hopefully, I haven't been to D.C. other than to catch a plane coming back from Lexington, Kentucky. But soon, I will be making the networking trip to Washington, D.C. and do what we can do to get Guam on the big screen.
You mentioned that you were going to get caught up with Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio about 11 o'clock this morning. What are you expecting from him by way of a trip report?
Well, I'm just going to ask a question because I think he broached the subject on the H-2 and maybe the visa waiver. Since we're working the strategy, I need to be able to know just exactly what he had encountered.
What has transpired? He got some international headlines this morning. Well, national headlines from the Washington Blade magazine, America's LGBT news source. Guam Lieutenant Governor sharply criticizes trans service member ban, and I'll read bits and pieces of that in the next hour because I think it's an interesting story and among some of the news that Guam and our Lieutenant Governor is making as he's doing the traveling with. Now, Tony Babauta is still Chief of Staff, right? I mean, he's not there grabbing Josh's luggage, right?
Yeah, I think the original trip was for the governor, and she stayed back because of pressing issues here with the dengue fever and other things.
Now the typhoon.
And the typhoon. So, yeah, he's still Chief of Staff.
All right. Gotcha. 8:57 in the morning. Gov, it's always fun talking with you, and I'll send you links to the interview later.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Because I know he's going to ask. That's the former Governor Carl T.C. Gutierrez. All right. Well, we got a couple of things knocked away in there, and I was correct. The Legion and legend of that outlook, the lookout down in Jonestown. Yeah, you know what's scary is now that this is a top story, now it's a big story. There might be more people going there to take a look at it and go, oh yeah, it is kind of a dangerous place.
It's over by my place, isn't it?
It ain't that far away from your place as the crow flies.
I did not even know it existed, but I will go find out.
Yeah, but,
I promise I won't fall down.
You don't know that.
I'm pretty. No. I don't get close. No.
Okay, because the edge is real magnetic, is my recollection. But there was a time when you could lean up against the edge of the cliff, or lean up against the railing. But that was, like I said, back in the 1980s. I don't know that I'd put any kind of pressure or solid weight on anything up there, up to and including the foundation. As I mentioned, over the years, it has become a magnet for junk and trash and stuff that people will throw away, because it is kind of in the boondocks. But there was a time in my life where the jungle had not yet grown around it. You could see it from the street. It was that nice and that accessible. What's that? Who's a niece Manny saying, ha, 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 he said idiot, when he was talking about some of the people in Washington, D.C., the House Democrats, and some of the crazy things that they've got going on these days. For somebody to fall off that area has to be very, very negligent. It maybe even be marked private property, or there might be something in there once upon a time that said stay away. But who knows? I don't know to what degree anybody is going to be accountable for that accident. 9 o'clock in the morning, or darn close to it. This is 93.3 KUSG. Haggatnya. Fox News Live is coming up next. This is The Point.
Denial. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Calling it illegitimate and unconstitutional. The White House saying it won't cooperate with the impeachment inquiry.
White House counsel Pat Cipollone late today sent a letter to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the chairs of 3 House committees slamming the impeachment investigation, saying President Trump and his administration cannot participate in your partisan and unconstitutional inquiry. In the letter, Cipollone cites the lack of a vote in the full House to authorize an impeachment inquiry, writing, the House of Representatives has never attempted to launch an impeachment inquiry against the president without a majority of the House taking political accountability for that decision.
Fox's John Roberts at the White House. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says the House is well within its rules to conduct oversight of the executive branch, regardless of a vote. This is House Democrats have now subpoenaed EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland for testimony and documents related to the Ukraine controversy, including electronic communications from his personal devices. Just days after the murder trial of former Dallas police officer Amber Geiger, a key witness in that case, is dead. Assistant Police Chief Avery Moore saying Joshua Brown was shot during a drug deal.
We in the Dallas Police Department grieve with you. We understand how hard it is and how much pain is related to losing a loved one.
Brown lived in the same apartment complex as Amber Geiger, who was found guilty of murdering Botham Jean during the trial. Her lawyers said she went to the wrong apartment and thought Jean was a burglar. A California man convicted of using social media to harass the families of victims of a mass shooting. 22-year-old Brandon Fleury found guilty in Fort Lauderdale, Florida federal court of cyberstalking and transmitting a kidnap threat. He faces up to 20 years in prison when he's sentenced in December. America's listening to Fox News.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
We buy a homeowner's policy and never give it another thought until something happens. Life brings changes, and our coverage needs can change. The smart thing to do is get the answers and level up our insurance to make sure we're totally protected.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
Rain. It's nature's way of cleansing the earth. Yet by the time that rainwater makes its way to your home, it may not be exactly the same as nature created it. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve the quality of the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home, so you can be sure your water is clear, clean, and fresh, just as nature intended it to be. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech, a passion for improving lives through better water.
The possibility of a Brexit deal by the end of the month looking dim.
The UK is set to leave the EU on October 31st, but European leaders say Britain's latest proposal is just not realistic, especially on the issue of keeping a frictionless border between Northern Ireland and Ireland. European Council President Donald Tusk took aim at Johnson, saying in an angry tweet, quote, "What's at stake is not winning some stupid blame game. At stake is the future of Europe and the UK," unquote. The British government doesn't want another delay and says the UK will leave at the end of the month, with or without a divorce deal. The EU says it will keep talking to the very last second. Ashley Webster, Fox News.
Fed Chair Jerome Powell says job growth since early last year wasn't as robust as first thought, a hint the Fed may be willing to keep cutting interest rates. A sales drought ends at Boeing.
Boeing getting a first new order in months for its 737 MAX planes, grounded earlier this year after a second deadly crash. The order in September coming from an unidentified business jet customer, according to Boeing, which is trying to get the jet back into service, but facing roadblocks such as European regulators, reportedly not satisfied that FAA and Boeing officials had adequately demonstrated the safety of reconfigured MAX flight control computers. Boeing's net order total for the first 9 months of the year, negative 84. European rival Airbus is at 127. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
Police in Fairfield, Connecticut say someone tried to break into comedian Lisa Lampanelli's home. They responded to the home last week after her sister said she got a phone call from a woman claiming to be Lampanelli, saying that she was at her house but was locked out. Police say the real Lisa Lampanelli was out of state at the time. Officers found 56-year-old Anna Dominguez of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, in a car in the driveway. She was ordered held on $500 bond. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
GRMC's cardiology department treats most complex heart problems. In our catheterization lab, cardiologists use imaging equipment to treat clogged arteries that can cause heart attacks or heart failure. We perform balloon angioplasty, stenting, and other life-saving cardiac procedures. If you suffer from a heart condition, have your provider refer you to GRMC's cardiology clinic at 645-5500. GRMC, where patients are partners.
Good plan. Portions of the Ray Gibson Show brought to you by the guys over at American President Lines, APL. This got a global presence and a local home, also being brought to you by my friends. So we got APL, that's American President Lines, and then I got my other friends over at American Water Tech, and then I got my other friends all over at the place with the American Medical Clinic Center, accepting most insurance now, Aetna and Medicare, etc., accepting most new insurance. Call 647-8262 if you want to get more information. And if you're hungry, Wendy's is open. All over the place there's a Wendy's, and they got a great breakfast value. I think one of my favorites. It's the country fried chicken with the gravy, white gravy on top of everything, and they fold that in over the scrambled eggs. My God, that's good. You really ought to try it. If you've never had country fried chicken with white gravy, you are missing out. As far as I'm concerned, that's local grind. So find it today, along with the other great meals. The great real deals at breakfast is Wendy's. Now, that's better.
The Coconut Wireless is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Got another hour to kill? Is that what we're up to here? Not bad at all. Managed to kill 3 great hours of talk radio and history-making radio, as a matter of fact. It isn't, but I think I'm going to call it that. I think we ought to do that one of these days. Ray Gibson, making history on 93.3. But it's always groovy to talk with important people. Former Governor Carl T.C. Gutierrez and the adventures that he is having. You know, when you have been tasked by the governor of Guam saying, okay, somebody's got to do something about these H-2s, and somebody's got to do something about the mass of people in the Philippines that would like to come to Guam, visit family and friends, do some shopping, go and eat at the restaurants that we've got here, but can't because, national politics. Diplomacy. And the closest thing that we've got to a diplomat and a statesman around here is former Governor Carl T.C. Gutierrez.
Yeah.
And so I think it's pretty neat, the adventures that he's going on and some of the doors that he's going to get to knock on and some of the old relationships that he had when he was the governor to be able to put things like that together. And recognition now, because it's spreading a little bit further. You and I might joke about this because, we know the people involved, but recognition that former Governor Gutierrez, Democrat, titular head of the Democratic Party for a long time here on Guam, is now referring to Donald Trump as and he's willing to wear the MAGA hat. He's wearing to write out his memoirs with a Donald Trump pen. He's a Democrat. Trump's a Republican, and for him to speak out as he has against some of the House Democrats, some of the Senate Democrats that are rolling around there, and the people that are hell bent for some kind of impeachment, and questions about how many people were in this phone call to the characters in the Ukraine. I don't know. It makes for great listening when Brian Kilmeade and Rush Limbaugh and those guys are on, and that's what happens between this program and Tall Tales with Bob Klitsky. If you don't know, because I get it, there might be some people that are just going, oh, that's good. We got a guy doing local talk radio until 10, and then click. Don't click at 10. Stay with it. Brian Kilmeade does an outstanding show. You know him from The 5 on Fox. And what's his name? Rush Limbaugh, because he basically invented talk radio. The way that we've got right now. And there are some very, very interesting programs. Only thing that we got to do, the only thing that's tricky is their stateside shows, which means that they come in Tuesday through Saturday, not Monday through Friday, like this one in particular does. All right, so where do I get to go in this hour? Hold on, taking a look at a bunch of messages that I'm getting. Yes, thank you very much. We were talking about coming out and getting some food. That you can only find on Guam. Because there are great restaurants in the Philippines. I mean, if you want to talk about a blossoming, traveling population, I know plenty of Filipinos that, for whatever reason, aren't going to come to the United States of America. But Taiwan, they'll go there. I got all kinds of friends, and you take a look at their travel pictures. All over Singapore.
Yeah, the fact is, Filipinos like to go the other way. They like to go to Southeast Asia and do their rambling.
Yep. And now I got a picture here from a friend of mine that is showing a picture of a place called Guahan Grill in the States. I'm not sure if is this coffee or alcohol that they're talking about. Bay City something, 8.5%. This has got to be beer.
Yeah, gotta be.
Prohibition Ruby Red, 6.9%. Bay City, 6.5%. Prohibition 5.7, Coconut Blends, Mother Earth, Cali Cream, and Nova Brazil. Now these are either beer flavors at the Guahan Grill or they're cannabis flavors because it all works, doesn't it? Prohibition, Bay City, Mother Earth, Nova Brazil, the Sticky Icky, Bay City.
Sound like adult dancer names.
There's could also work out. We got a lot of imagination going on over here on the place. Brian on Fox and Friends, you got to deal with that sour Juan Williams on the 5. Rico Blancaflor joined. Carl, moderate Democrats are all far left these days. Boy, that is a fact. If you've ever been one, and you get guys like moderate Democrats and Carl Gutierrez who would just don't recognize what people are referring to as the Democratic Party anymore.
I've never even been one to consider myself a Democrat, and I don't recognize what the party's doing to itself.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
All right. Well, and 9:12 in the morning, and I think the world is going to get crazier just by evidence of some of the things that we've seen. Did you see? I'm trying to figure out whether this is one of those fake news pieces or if it's real, but coming out of the state of Hawaii, where sometimes Hawaii is starting to feel like California and Washington with some of the crazy things that are coming out. They want to crack down on people that are driving cars that don't have registration, don't have insurance, don't have driver's licenses. So I saw this thing on Facebook, and it says what they want to do is in order to buy gasoline that goes in your car, you have to show your driver's license, proof of insurance, and registration.
That's ridiculous.
You know what? There's uptight people in that state, and you know it.
Clearly, yeah, clearly.
And
they're all from California.
Transplants or something like that, trying to figure out how we can get, wrest more control.
I mean, what if I want to just buy gas for my lawnmower? I don't need to have
driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance.
The lawnmower doesn't have two of those three, or I don't need a license for the lawnmower.
Well, maybe you do. Maybe we will need to license the lawnmowers because the exhaust that comes out of them are major contributors to global warming and climate change. Don't you think? 9:13.
I don't have a body sound.
Yep, I know which body. Well, if we could take the dope sound effect and turn that backwards, I think it would sound
pretty close
along the same lines. Don't ask. I don't. 9:00 in the morning. And just for those of you that have just discovered this program, and I recognize that there are new people coming in all the time, and you get people that go, "Hey, it's Andrew. I'm listening to the radio on Guam. How about that?" And there's this guy. I'm not quite sure where to put him in the spectrum of entertainment, but I can't stop listening. Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. It is the Ray Gibson Show. Man and boy, 40+ years in radio here on Guam. I know most of the players and most of the games. And if you're coming here looking for hard news and sharp-edged conversation about news and information in this town. Yeah. If we were going to do it, it would have been a long time ago, earlier in the day. But now we're in what I like to refer to as the small talk portion of the program.
Quite literally, we are the blind squirrels of radio.
Exactly.
We find the acorn every now and then.
So there's all kinds of things on my table of contents. Let me go back to that here, because I was just messing around, just open riffing here. But let me go back to the structure of the table of contents and see if there's anything there that either A, I haven't talked about before, or B, some new revelation has come out. Earlier today, I was talking about the fake news that comes out of, I don't even work, these guys are in the Sinai. An anonymous email recently sent to Guam senators by someone who claims to be among the Guam National Guard soldiers deployed in Egypt's sparsely populated Sinai Peninsula alleges the soldiers are struggling in poor living and work conditions. I know that we've had a hard time with the educational system here on Guam, but my guess is that most of the guys that are in the Guard have got a much better handle on the English language than whoever it was that wrote this. Living conditions are terrible, period. Water has caused soldiers to become sick on a daily basis due to uncleanliness of filtering. Barracks are in a sore eye. What? Barracks are in a sore eye? Who English you, boy? In part from a sender who used the pseudonym Band-Aid Soldiers of Sinai. The email sender states, some foods are just upright disgusting. I think the phrase that you're looking for, son, is downright disgusting, but I have a clever turn of phrase from time to time. Yeah. Some soldiers don't even eat at the facility due to the issue. The issue? This Eddie Calvo term, isn't it? Issues. We have plenty of issues in the government of Guam.
This English reminds me of this Bitmoji that I have here, and it just says, I cry. I'm crying.
I'm crying.
I'm crying. Yeah.
It is to laugh. It is to laugh. I remember that one. 9:16 in the morning. So you get that story, but then the other story, and it's just so weird to sound because we're talking about deployments that we have had in the course of the war against terror over all of these years, longest running war in the history of the country, and we've had men and women from Guam wear the uniform of service in all kinds of really, really crappy places. The last places, literally the last places on earth, you would think that you would find somebody from a tiny speck called Guam. And we've got them out in the Horns of Africa and up in Djiboutis and all of these other places where you go, where? Find that on the map because that's where Uncle Daddy is. So what's the deal? And now it looks like there's a repositioning of and a remarshaling of some of these sources of some of these destinations because we now have them in Arizona. We've sent guardsmen to Arizona to guard the southern borders while Trump is building his wall with money he got from build-up projects from Guam. It's all connected up here. Don't you see? 9:17 in the morning. There are other stories in the Daily Post. I might just do that where I just open a page of the newspaper and riff on whatever it is I see. DOC director back to work after training and a softball trip. But they make great pains in the conversation between the governor's office and Sam that this no taxpayer money was used in anything having to do with this trip. She went to go at a training funded by the National Governors Association, catering to department heads who are under a new administration. Boy, there's you think about deep state government right there. I mean, there's a great example of it, right? So you got the National Governors Association, and where did they get their money from? Right, so maybe the taxpayers aren't directly funding the airplane ride, but the taxpayers funding participation in the National Governors Association. I'm just kind of curious about that one. But at any rate, so she's going to go to training catered to department heads who are under a new administration. This sounds to me like one of those training programs that will never, ever, ever end. Isn't it always going to be a new administration coming in somewhere? Aren't there always going to be new people going in for these government jobs? And it just seems like one of those deals where it's circulatory, isn't it? We will always need a Governors Association. We'll always need to have these trips funded by the Governors Association. What a bunch of junkets.
The NGA has a well-rounded and diverse funding model. Our funding includes members' dues, corporate sponsorships and gifts, foundation giving, and federal grants.
Precious. And watch, Trump's not going to touch him. Wouldn't it be fun? Investigate. Right? Hey, look, if we can investigate the joint mayor, for God's sakes. We can investigate the National Governors Association. Right. But that's not the answer. That in my mind, that's not the interesting thing. I mean, it's interesting that they, decided that they had to put that kind of cover and make sure that was reported. But the real deal has got to be the bizarro world that Sam Brennan, the Department of Corrections director, has flown back into. Her deputy ain't there anymore. While she was off with this National Governors Association junket and playing softball, while she's off doing that, her deputy resigned. Mm-hmm. Some say in the deep media, some say that he did not resign. He showed up and the letter was written for him. And maybe yeah. Another one bites the dust. And my guess is there are two letters. And that one was the most friendly way that he could pivot his way out of the administration. And then you get to work and go, okay, well, Joe's not here. Who's been watching the store while I've been gone? Guam Police Department Captain Joe Carbolito, who was tapped to temporarily serve as acting director during Brennan's absence, is going to remain there to provide, quote, support and assistance. It is unclear when he will return to his duties at GPD. Do you want to know what I think? Well, you're listening, so I guess you do. What I think is he will return to GPD when his investigation has been concluded. That's what I think. If it was me, I'd be walking around talking to everybody in a uniform for the Department of Corrections saying, all right, we think we've got a pretty good handle on what's going on around here, but we'd like you to confirm it. And they're going to say, well, I don't want to confirm anything. Don't put me down on, don't wrangle me up into this. Keep me out of it. And then he's going to say, well, some of the allegations that we're hearing involve you. So would you like to speak to me now? Or shall I arrange a deposition?
I'll tell you else who he should be talking to, and that's the inmates. They will know things about those guys in uniform around there that even their mothers don't know.
So you might be listening, and you might be, and it would be fair for you to say, Gibson, are you suggesting that there is corruption over at the Department of Corrections? No, I'm saying there's corruption in the Department of Corrections, and I think that that's what he was sent to go and find out there. And if they weren't, then it's a perfectly good waste of good police training and experience to send him there and not have him take a look around and see at what we are hearing in allegation form floating around. The fact that officers had released, 2 or 3 inmates under questionable circumstances, the same people involved in that? And are they the same people that are now involved in the conversation that came up in the arraignment of Mayor Blas? That he had the power, he had the resources to be able to get people out of jail for a short time.
Yeah, I think one of the newspapers was trying to dig that up. I don't know how far they got. But if they won't, Troy will.
Yeah. It's called "I Will Testify for Immunity and a Slot in Witness Protection." It's exactly the inmates are first to know first ones are the first ones that know everything first. As you might imagine over at some place like the Department of Corrections, the director should have returned home around that time. Yeah, I know her. I might ask her one of these days. Hey, Agnes, nice to see you online. And we were talking about Hawaii earlier, and Big Sister Shelley saying, Hawaii way Cali style these days. No more aloha de kind. Want proof? Honolulu Airport. Old Lolo Manapua face Hirano at the head of the line there. Interesting. Rico Blancaflor is online. And other comments that are floating in on the deal. All right, a couple of other stories that I think are interesting. U.S. Attorney saying the Jotnia mayor is a danger to the community. Attorney Laura Sambataro filed the government's opposition Tuesday, arguing that the mayor posed a danger to the community because he used his position to give drug traffickers access to mailboxes intended for village residents in order to receive packages of narcotics, according to these court documents. And ask me, that could have gone worse for Mayor Blas. Tell you why, because I think they've got plenty more. And all we know is what came out in the arraignment. And if these guys keep picking at the scab and saying, let him out, let him out, let him out, Laura and the guy from the FBI are going to come back and say, well, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to take the stand again and tell you more reasons why we consider this man to be a danger to the community. I'd be very, very careful about doing too much rankling between here and there. In the meantime, the article by Nick Delgado points to an editorial where the Post is urging the mayor to resign for his village constituents. The Attorney General's office says there's no vacancy. The guy is still the mayor of Jotnia. So he's not vacant. However, in a conversation that we had earlier with Judge Bob Klitsky, who maybe is interpreting the law differently, says that we've got a problem. The mayor needs to be, I don't know if I wrote it down. I'm sure I did somewhere, but there were a couple of things. Number one, he had to be doing his job, right? He needed to be there being the mayor. And he's not there doing mayor stuff. Now, Darrell Taggarty made a point yesterday when we were talking about this. It says, well, things are still getting done. They're still having they still had the fiesta. There's still office activities that are going on that are still taking place. And maybe that says a whole lot more about the need to have a mayor in Jotnia than it does anything else. If the jobs are still getting done, even though the guy hasn't been at work for a couple of weeks, maybe we don't need a mayor or a municipal planning council. But one of the things that he was supposed to do was set up a municipal planning council. Because he did not do that, Bob believes that might have been a little bit of dereliction of the duties of the office that he is not there carrying out right now. And so he makes the assertion that perhaps the governor can relieve him from his duties. Perhaps the election commission would be the ones that would relieve him of his duties.
The fact that we're even having a conversation tells me that he should just go ahead and say, hey, you know what, in light of all that's going on, I'm going to go ahead and step away from the mayor's position, and I even nominate somebody. I nominate this person to take my place. And maybe there's some sort of process that they could go through, and a vote can be made to temporarily. So what Bob was talking about this morning, I'm sure you remember, was a resident of Jotnia should have standing. Yeah. A resident of Jotnia, just somebody else, one of the Balahadjas, can come up and say, we need to have a mayor. And so we don't have one, and so I would make a formal complaint and then force it into the courts and have the courts
come up with a writ right away and use that to determine what the next steps would be for the governor or the Guam Election Commission. But so far, we haven't seen anything like that happen. I guess the only ones that are asking are the guys over at the Mayor's Council. And the only reason why they're asking is because the answer. I think the Angel was hoping to get what he got, and it is a 10-foot pole. He got the Mayor's Council 10-foot pole. I'm going to ask the Attorney General for an opinion, and God help me, I hope that opinion puts me in a place where I don't have to take any action. Or the other mayors of the community don't have to take any action. We're not the appointing body. We're not the governing body. We're not the regulatory body. It's going to end up being somebody else. And sure enough, just like the sun is going to come up tomorrow and go down tonight, sure enough, the guy got his 10-foot pole and is now able to say when anybody asks, what are you doing about the mayor thing in Jotnia? He's, well, our hands are tied. We can't do anything. Power vacuum exists.
Yeah, speaking of the mayors, and I owe no allegiance to Mayor Savares. I live in Tamuning, but I know she's been helping out up in Jolnia, and I think a couple of the other mayors.
Just awesome.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but she should be recognized for at least.
People don't like her, but I like her. Daryl Taggarty's online. Nice to see you there, Big D. Some of the other stories that are of interest here are I'm wondering if any of these are connected. We've got this story here. Is this one? No, I think it's another one. But I refer to it as in my notes as 2 traffic stops, net Dumb and Dumber of Guam's meth kingdom.
That's nice. I like that.
Right? Mm-hmm. There's got to be a way that we could formalize that. You know, we've got that
should be a promo.
The Dumb and Dumber of the Guam meth, but it changes every day. So we got 2 of them. We got 2 sets of Dumb and Dumber in the magistrate reports over the last couple of days. 4 people arrested, 2 separate Dededo traffic stops that amazingly found drugs. We got cops that are pulling people over because their cars look like moving probable cause, and so they're doing these traffic stops like they did in Ramil Gonzalez's case. During the traffic stop, he was noted to be sweating profusely and appeared nervous. Officers noticed a white straw that contained a crystalline substance consistent with methamphetamine. Why would you have that laying around? You just think it'd be in his pocket or something, right?
Something.
Court documents filed by a prosecutor allege Gonzalez reportedly told police the straw was not his because he's on probation and can't smoke meth. That can't be mine. Yeah. I'm on probation. I don't know how the gun got in the gun-free zone. There should be some kind of invisible barrier that if a gun tries to cross this place, the time will stop there and you'll be frozen. I don't know. There's no way that straw could have been mine because I'm on probation. I can't smoke. Then he pulled his pants down and said, look, officer, nothing. Now, any story that involves anybody, quote, pulling their pants down is going to get play on this program.
Absolutely.
It is. There's a...
Man, I wish you'd have told me about that. I could have come up with something.
Right? Now, this is a companion. It's not a local story, but it is a companion to that one. Grocery worker walked out with meat in pants. Now, again, any story where I can say meat in pants is also going to be destined to be fun. Police in Italy have pinned a meaty crime on a supermarket employee. They say the man walked out with $1,200 worth of meat stuffed in his pants. The mind just reels with the comedic potential here. Anyway, so he pulls his pants down and says, look, officer, nothing. The passenger of the vehicle, Vivian Aquina, had a purse on her lap, and inside the purse were baggies containing clear and white crystal residue consistent with methamphetamines. The items tested presumptively positive for methamphetamines, according to the prosecution. Both people in the vehicle charged with possession. A magistrate's complaint against the 2 filed by Jeremy Kemper. All right, that's traffic stop number 1. Again, we have 2 stories. Both of them are in competition with the Dumb and Dumber of Guam's new meth kingdom. This is meth town, isn't it? Saturday, also in Dededo, cops pulled somebody else over, later identified as Alexander Palacios Takai. When inside La Familia Mart off Wysang Song, the driver of the vehicle, Zach Cruz, was later searched and $1,293 in cash was found. Takai was located and search officers found a glass pipe, scale, plastic baggies, and about 1.75 grams of methamphetamine on him. Takai told police he was getting a ride from Cruz, and during the traffic stop, Cruz threw the paraphernalia that was found on Takai and said, "Take care of this." Takai stated he assumed Cruz wanted him to conceal the paraphernalia. This is what happens when you're on meth. You can't communicate.
Yeah, no,
apparently.
Yeah, because we have dumb, dumber, dumbest, and I guess we'll call this last dude dense.
There needs to be an award. If you ask me. Cruz and Takai charged with possession of Schedule 2 controlled substance with intent to deliver. That was also filed by Kemper. And we'll watch these cases go through the criminal justice system and watch them both get a slap. All the dumb and dumbers of Guam's meth kingdom are going to get a slap on the wrist and told to go and sin no more, including the guy that was clearly in possession of crystal methamphetamine when he was told not to because, quote, he's on probation. And there's another lesson to be learned here. Even if you pull your pants down, you're still going to get arrested. It's 9:33. I hate to be the one to deliver the bad news. It's 9:33 in the morning, and that's iConnect time. Run to iConnect and ask about the tax refund promo that they've got there.
Run, Forrest, run!
You get the service for a year. A month of that service is going to be free, plus free phone. Terms and conditions apply. They want to hear from you at 888-8888.
Hey, do you know what time the bank closes? I need to deposit my check.
You know you can do that from your phone.
I can?
With Bank of Guam's mobile app, it's easy. Just endorse the back and snap a pic to deposit it into your account. You can do this from anywhere, anytime, which means no rushing to catch the bank and no lines.
With Bank of Guam's mobile app and online banking, we're always open. Visit bankofguam.com for more information. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training.
I hear the question all the time. What do we do to help our new leaders rise up and take their place in the organization? I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, we'll talk about the sensitive issue of succession planning.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts. Brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
Yeah, Peter Santos writing here. He says, but we aren't a high-density drug area. We are. My read on that story, Pedro, is that the application wasn't written well. And so when it went to D.C., they took a look at the application and said, you guys need to do better on this. So send it back. Talk to one of 100 really good grant people that we've got here on Guam and figure out how to write this so that it comes up with the intended consequences. The kind of the nature of the problems that we've got with crystal methamphetamine, the way that it's taken over this community, we really are, I think, a high-intensity drug area. The fact that they're able to pull in, they're able to capture. You don't hear about how much of this is actually being caught as it's being brought in. The amounts of drugs that they're bringing in should lend a whole lot of credence to the idea that we are a high-traffic area.
Yeah, law enforcement officials will tell you that they only get about 10%. But going back to Dumb, who pulled his pants down for the policeman, it suddenly occurred to me, we've had this run lately of people who are getting arrested trying to bribe the cops. Mm-hmm. Maybe he just wanted to give the cops some love.
You think?
Maybe.
Do we have any love music? Do we have any cop-loving music?
Sure it would involve whips.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I don't know if I want to talk about that. $27 million landfill expansion contract awarded to my friends over at Cortec. They've got the deal here. New debt won't increase tipping fees. Thank goodness. Solid Waste Authority is committed to making the debt repayment from the tipping fees it charges residents, military, and businesses, etc. GSWA Board Chair Andy Gale and Gast have both said there will be no increase in tipping fees as a result of borrowing the $30 million. 27 of which is required to be able to put together what will probably be we need to find a way to describe this better. I'm referring to it as a castle for trash. $27 million that we're going to set aside and it will do one thing for its the entire lifespan of it. For all of the things that we're going to be, it only needs to do one thing, and that is to warehouse garbage. That's all it will do. There will not be any other secondary benefit other than the protection of the aquifers and the waters and the streams and that's it. It will just be there to house our trash. $27 million. Boy, can you imagine what we might have been able to do with that? 888-8255-888-TALK. Are there other items in the table of contents? Yeah, probably, but let me talk to Jack first. Hey, buddy.
Hey, good morning, Raymond.
How you doing, man?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what to do with the $267,000 that mysteriously came into my account this past July.
Do you need ideas? Look, if you really do run out of ideas, let me know, because the answer is hookers and booze.
Well, let me put it this way.
That's generally the answer to a lot of things. I mean, if you're having a bad day, just ponder that. Just hookers and booze. Let's do that.
Well, I'll do the booze parts of the hookers. I don't know. Nowadays, it's a crapshoot out there. But I just, I feel sorry for Guam Solid Waste. I was taken back in the day by a Nigerian prince, and Britney Spears has claimed that she loved me so much. And I got suckered into those things once.
Mm-hmm.
The sad part is the Nigerian prince and Britney Spears they were the same guy, and that was that part for me.
Yeah,
but I learned from my mistakes, so hopefully Guam Solid Waste would. And do you remember that?
Well, wait, hold on, because we still don't know the answer to the ultimate question. So we know they got scammed by a Nigerian princess, Britney Spears. Or something along those lines, with this man-in-the-middle scam that they fell for, number one. But number two, the vendor that they're talking to is still waiting for $267,000. They're still waiting to get paid for the work that they did. So who's holding the bag on that?
Now, they're calling it a man-in-the-middle scandal. Maybe Michael Jackson was behind it.
I know the song.
I still think it's the Nigerian prince and Britney Spears, but, Here's the thing. You voted all your life here in Guam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that time? I think it was the Camacho election, the first Camacho election. Do you remember that time when you went to the post office box and you got in your box a flyer from a jewelry company here in Guam, and you looked around and you saw that the waste bucket was full of the same flyer?
Yeah.
You ever wonder where they got that information from?
Driver's licenses.
No.
Voter
Guam Election Commission.
Guam Election Commission. All right.
Yeah. So we have a poor tendency of putting information on anything that comes out in front of us, regardless, because it's the government, but we need to be really careful nowadays in providing these information.
So let me ask you this question, because it sounds like you've given this 2 minutes of thought. And the question is there a way that we can go to the Guam Election Commission and tell them to stop trafficking in our voter roll information up to and including the judiciary?
They get the information from your driver's license now.
But I should be able to say stop that. I should be able to say take my name off any databases that aren't directly related to whatever the needs of the Department of Revenue and Taxation Motor Vehicle Division is. If they don't need it at the court, they don't need it in the big marketing companies. Nobody else needs to have that information but you. Please prevent it from leaving your organization.
But here's the thing. When you renew your license now, since 2018, they have that section for motor vehicle. And motor vehicle has been going up there every month or every 2 weeks to garnish this information. And that's, this is a big stink, They're getting information that they're not required to have. And it's a violation. You can't piggyback, off a disclosure form and say, well, this disclosure applies to us too because of the voter vehicle registration for voting and stuff like that. It's nonsense, and I'm just tired of it. And speaking of, I come home. There's another 20 cents increase on my cup of coffee. I'm just getting tired, Ray.
Because
there's nothing.
Business privilege tax. There's 5% business privilege tax. There's a whole line of coffee shops that are closed, and my understanding is the guy that owned those said he couldn't make any money here anymore.
And no, but I buy my coffee at the gas station. Now, it'll be much cheaper if I make a whole pot of it and throw half of it away. I'll still profit. No, I'm serious. I buy fresh beans. I grind it myself. I make a 12-cup what's that decanter of coffee. I could throw half of it away
and still be ahead.
And still be ahead. It's ridiculous and there's no strength in consumerism anymore here. There is no strength in consumerism. We have no power anymore in buying products that we need versus products that we want. And I just don't know what to do. I kept my receipts. Ever since the port raised their fee, I have a receipt from when the price of coffee from the same place, gas station I buy, all the way up to today. When the port raised their fee prior to the Trump impact and all the blah blah, the wolf, the sales tax or the GRT wolf crying that they're prior to that, I kept my receipts from when the port raised their fee all the way up today. I paid for a cup of refill coffee at a certain gas station, $1.09. My mug is about, I'd say, 20 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
Get it black. Today, I'm paying $1.99.
Whoa.
2018 Christmas, December, from 2018 to today. That's how high my cup of refill has gone up. And they even had the nerve. I used to get the refill, and I swipe my tag there because, you buy coffee, your 6-cup is free or something like that. They even had the nerve to take that off their promo. Now you have to buy one of their cups with the coffee to get that 5-cup free thing. And there is just no win anymore.
Well, there could be other factors, including the price at the wholesale pre-roaster level. They're talking about climate change having an impact. I just read this last week. Climate change having an impact on some of the places that are growing coffee, and it's affecting the yield.
Jason, I'm sorry.
I'll take the compliment.
I'll send you an article that I have since 2007 saying that UN scientists have predicted that the coastals will flood by the year 2000.
I remember those.
I'll send you these confirmed UN scientists all over the world saying that we'll lose our shores by the year 2000.
Oh, see, now you got me remembering something. There was another story that I've been threatening to read here in the last couple of days. It's in the show notes. Hold on a second.
But listen.
Go ahead.
What I'm saying is that we have no strength anymore as consumers here in Guam. We don't have the options. Now we're down to necessities, and it's just ridiculous. My cup of coffee has gone up. The juice that I buy 1 cup of coffee and buy 1 can of coconut juice from the specific gas station. I never buy gas there, but I stop by because of the coffee. The cost of the coffee and the price of the juice. The juice itself has went up. It used to be $1.29. Now it's $1.89. Yeah. So it's.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Didn't we used to have somebody in charge of consumer affairs at the Attorney General's office or?
Well, the price gouging. That's what I thought. I said, oh man, a typhoon was moving in, and they're pricing and gouging us before the typhoon moved in. But they apparently did this change on Friday, so I just don't know what to do.
Yeah. It sounds like you need to drink less coffee anyway, buddy.
No, because it helps with the beer,
Yeah, see, that's talk to me. Talk to me when the price of beer goes up. So, just FYI, Payless Heineken Light is like $9.99 a 12-pack. Just FYI.
Yeah, well, I go in there at 9:30. Yeah, so I just wanted you to know about that Impossible Burger.
Yeah, quick.
You know what we called that back in the day? Soylent Green. But, you ever eat at an In-N-Out burger?
I have had one In-N-Out burger in my life in Hollywood when I was staying at the Roosevelt Hotel once upon a time. And I went for a couple of reasons. Number one, because everybody said you have to have an In-N-Out burger. It's not a trip to California if you don't have an In-N-Out burger. And the other reason was because there was a whole group of really awesome-looking Filipina girls that were going in that direction, too. So, yeah, I'm going to In-N-Out.
Here's the thing. Their menu hasn't changed since they opened. And it's always been burger, fries, and shakes. You look at McDonald's, you see McDonald's going all over the place for their profit margins and their loss margins. And you see what's happening to Burger Thing now. But anyway, I know they're sponsors. I love them. I still go to Burger King over McDonald's. But, I don't understand. I mean, why aren't people paying attention to consumers? It seems like when it comes to food, even for entertainment, it's like they're messing with the formulas, thinking that, they have enough profit margin to go, in this direction.
Yeah.
I mean, when are they going to find out? People don't go to McDonald's for health reasons.
Yeah, well, they did the survey. I'm going to let you run. But I remember they did a survey because there was all these people that for health reasons, we need to have something up there that shows, how many calories this has and how many calories in this meal and in this combination and all of that stuff. And they did a survey among the consumers that shop at that fast food station, every other fast food place on Guam, and saying, have you read that? And they said, no. Why am I going to read that? This is what I expect on the menu. The food, and a description of the food, and then the price. That's all I need to see. You don't need to tell me about calories. I know I'm eating at a drive-thru. I'm looking up at a menu instead of down at a menu. That is your first clue that these might not be dietary powerhouses for you. It might be a clue that, it's fast. And one of the things about fast food that you trade off for convenience and price is they're calorie dense. And that's all there is to it. Somewhere in there, he triggered a thought on something I wanted to talk about. And it'll only take me a second. There's one of these stories, and there's a whole group of people, friends, that are probably just danced long into the night upon hearing this news. And then there are people who probably just rolled their eyes and said, great, there's another gaggle of self-important people coming into the Pacific region. That's all we need. There goes the neighborhood. But this story here, the UN may open their first office in Micronesia. This actually printed a few days ago. I've had it that long. In regional news, the Federated States of Micronesia may soon be the site of a new United Nations multi-country office after getting the endorsement of other Pacific Island nations. UN presence in the Micronesia sub-region has been for many years an issue that Pacific ambassadors have continually called for, according to a release from the FSM government, with the United Nations recently announcing its plans to have a dedicated multi-country office in the North Pacific region. Establishing a new sub-regional headquarters in the region is one step closer to becoming a reality. The proposed sub-regional office not only establishes a UN presence in the area, but it also is supposed to address the needs and priorities of island nations like the FSM, Palau, Marshalls, Kiribati, and Nauru. Following the UN's decision, the president of the Micronesian sub-regional group met for an interim session at the FSM's permanent mission in late September, just before the opening of the 74th United Nations General Assembly. Did you feel your life get better here? Just after read that story, that the United Nations is going to be coming out to the region. How about that? All these people, the Federated States of Micronesia, I can only assume that all of the citizens of the Federated States of Micronesia that call Guam home are calling the airlines now, calling United, saying, I need to get back, I need to get on the next plane home because the United Nations is going to be staffing an office there.
Do you think we could get one of those cool hats?
Oh,
the blue ones.
Yeah, the baby blue berets that those guys got?
Yeah.
That'd
be nice.
Why not? Should ask. Well, I wonder if they'll have a force out here. I should watch what I say. I could get in trouble with these guys. It's 9:51 or so in the morning. This is the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3. I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll come right back.
Life happens. You need to go to work. The kids need to go to school. There are family events, friend events, any event. And everyone needs to communicate. When you need mobile services that you know you can rely on, choose GTA. As the winner of Ookla's 2019 award for Best Mobile Coverage on Guam, you can rely on us to offer you better plans to modernize your life, fit your needs, and keep you connected. So visit us today and let us help you connect. GTA, we start with you.
Chili's Grill and Bar is now open at the second floor of the Tumon Sands Plaza.
Hi, welcome to Chili's.
Come and see what the buzz is all about. Grab your friends and savor their sizzling fajitas, big mouth burgers, and fall off the bone smoked ribs while sipping on their world famous Presidente margaritas. Treat yourself to an elevated experience at Chili's and feel why they're like no place else. Now open on the second floor of Tumon Sands Plaza. Together, we Chili's.
James Howard, who's got experience in the restaurant game, says a federal regulation to put caloric information on the menu below the item. People in the business also think it's stupid and serves absolutely no purchase. If you know that I am fiending, just talking about it now. You know what? I'm thinking that maybe on the way home today, there's going to be Big Mac, large fries, medium Coke. No onions on the Big Mac.
Yeah, if combo meals didn't cost $9, I could get one too.
Yeah. What's the other one I like to get? See, that's my quandary. That's when I pull up to that particular drive-through, is whether or not I'm going to get a Big Mac or whether I'm going to get a quarter pounder. I have never, ever, ever in my life considered what the caloric difference is going to be between the soda, the fries, and either one of the two sandwiches I want. I don't care. I know I like the food. I know that that's what I'm going to get.
Do you eat the fries first?
Well,
some of them, not all of them.
It kind of depends on the length of the fries.
Oh, okay.
So I'm one of those guys. Like, I remember when I was a kid, you get the big, long McDonald's fry, and ooh, look at that, massive. But I like the little ones.
Oh, okay.
I like the little ones. They're burned a little bit. They're crispier a little bit. So that's very rare. And me and one of my science buddies. I'm sorry, not to go completely down the aside here, but they've got the regular fries, and then they've got the fries, not curly fries. What's the ones where they've got ridges?
Okay, yeah.
Ridge cut. I want to say ridge cut fries or something like that, right? So here's the science.
Crinkle cut.
Crinkle, is it? So here's the science, and I need somebody. If you got a kid that's doing a science experiment, here's what I'd like to learn. Is it possible that the crinkle cut fries will hold more ketchup or whatever you're dipping it into because of the expanded surface area, or is it about the same from one regular straight cut fry versus a crinkle fry?
I would say, given the physics of it, a crinkle cut fry would hold better
because there is more surface area.
You've got, and not only that, but you have ridges. You have an irregular surface area, which actually creates more friction, which would hold the ketchup there a little bit better than the straight fry.
Okay, and this is just these are the kinds of inquiring and probing questions I think people have come to learn to expect on a program of this caliber. I also have received an invitation to I don't know, it's a bar. I think it's a restaurant, but one of these restaurants got a bar in it that they want to get more customers into. It is a 2-hour all-you-can-drink plan.
Whoa!
And for $15, you can drink as many Budweiser or Bud Light beers as you want to. There's another plan, a $25 plan, which opens up all the spirits and wines.
How many can you put away in 2 hours? Considering that you're paying $15. That's enough for 3 6-packs of Asahi.
They'd kick me out. These guys would kick me out, right? So what's the retail rate in Tumon for a Budweiser beer? Is what, $6?
Oh.
So after my fourth beer, or my first half hour, they would start losing money on this. I don't care what their wholesale cost. I don't care what they pay the wholesale. They're still going to lose money on this. 9:56 in the morning. 888-825-5888 TALK. And the Camacho says, if a government has the ability to legislate people out of poverty, it would have done by now, and it would be the greatest news story of all time. I'm waiting. ... You are absolutely right. The conversation about an increase in the minimum wage is, in my mind, just another one of these examples of a piece of feel-good legislation. It's been sprinkled with legislative fairy dust, and the fairy dust is going to be replaced by whoosh ninja dust. when the governor gets it, because she is going to sign that into law. Whoosh, just like that. It'll be
password
magic.
is pandering.
Yeah, and you're thinking, well, this is going to help lift so many people out of poverty, and they'll finally be able to get ahead on their lives and maybe put some money. No, they're not. Any additional money is probably going to be they're probably going to be a bigger bite in the wholesale. Their withholding taxes. So the government's definitely getting a raise off the top of that first additional 50 cents that gets earned. That's going to happen, and to what degree is whatever's left over from that going to actually help people? In the meantime, the businesses are going to have to pay more for their employees and their help, and they aren't going to eat that. They'll pass that on. Wait a second, it cost me X dollars to have this many employees and cars and rental and air conditioning and all of this other crap. I'm going to have to start including all of these additional costs in the cost of my goods. So get ready, Jack, for more expensive coffee.
Yeah, because the owners aren't going to take the hit, and it's either that or they'll just cut the hours back for the employees so that their basic wages are going to be the same, but they'll just be making more per hour for fewer hours.
Well, they did a study and found that had not happened as a result of the most recent increase, and I believe that the answer to that is because they had already cut those hours to the bone. Certain positions for which you were making that kind of entry-level money for a job that frankly, golly, if we could find a way to automate it, we would have already done it. They just have already taken those jobs and said, okay, these are 20-hour jobs. That's it. 20-hour-a-week jobs. It's all you're going to be able to get out of it, and so you might be making that high riding minimum wage dollar at $9.25, but you're only going to be doing it for 20 hours a week out here with no hope of just going to hire more guys and give them 20 hours, and then I don't have to benefit them. There's all these other costs that the businesses are going to be able to justifiably avoid. Hey, I do it. 888-8255. I got the shareholders to answer to. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. Well, we'll be before too much longer. Who's that? Chris Chip says the UN is so corrupt that they will fit into the region. Trying to sort out now if the UN puts a stronger hold in this part of the world, how does that impact the relationships of these islands with the federal government of the United States of America? Something that all of a sudden the federal government seems to be trying to protect. Does that get them closer to the federal government, or does it get them further away from the Fed and closer to the Chinese, who are an ascendant military and economic power out here? I would submit that it is probably the latter in this case, because we know the UN don't love the United States of America. I think this is going to lubricate the process for the Chi-Coms. What do you think, Chris? And if you can't get back to me online, then we'll talk about it. You think you've got my WhatsApps and my Instagrams and my Facebook information. Okay, the music's playing in the background, and I've thrown away most of the stuff I wanted to talk about today because I talked about it, which means that we've got more stuff to punch through tomorrow, which is Thursday? Thursday. It's got to be, because I got my trash picked up today. Where KUSG had gotten you, this is The Point.
Sarah, Fox News. White House counsel Pat Cipollone sending a letter to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the chairs of 3 House committees, saying it will not cooperate with the impeachment inquiry, calling it illegitimate.
The core of the complaint Cipollone lays out is that House Dems are violating the rule of law, the Constitution, and past precedent set by impeachment procedures under Democrats and Republicans. The letter lays out a whole laundry list of accusations, including denying President Trump's fundamental rights to cross-examine and call witnesses, to receive transcripts of testimony, access evidence, and have counsel present. Cipollone then adds, you have conducted your proceedings in secret and are actively threatening executive branch officials.
Fox's Jillian Turner, but House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has said the House is within its rights to conduct oversight of the executive branch, and a source has told the Associated Press former South Carolina Congressman Trey Gowdy has been tapped to serve as outside counsel to the president as the impeachment inquiry expands. After the State Department blocked him from appearing voluntarily, House Democrats have subpoenaed Gordon Sondland, the European Union ambassador. 3 House committees demanding he appear at a deposition October 16th. They're also asking for documents, including communications that were turned over to the State Department, but not to Congress.